38%. Chapter 101. Alliance. Ji Ning was shocked when he saw that the big formation was easily broken by Li Fan, but at this point he had no room for change. The key to the relic must be in his own hands. A spirit sword appeared in Ji Ning's hands. He raised his hand and slashed several sharp sword chi towards Li Fan. At this time, the rest of the people also reacted, and carried the spirit power in the body to cast various spells. Blades of light and swords, raging fire and wind filled the entire room. With a bang, the house collapsed, and the exquisite room was turned into ruins. The whole room was tattered and messed up. Only the wooden chair that Li Fan was sitting on was spotless and tidy as new. The Fei Xing Leg Wang knife hovered and flew in front of Li Fan, and under the sword aura, it blocked all the attacks on the face. What? This. How could it be possible? The 8 and 8 realm of the Purity Palace felt the same at this time, that is, they couldn't believe it, and there was a trace of fear besides being shocked. Is this really just the strength of Wendao realm? Luo Shichubianshan and others always feel as if something is wrong. They have not seen the cultivator of the Taoist realm, but no one can block the attack of 8 and 8 realm cultivators as easily as this Li Fan. Ji Ning's face was also difficult to look at this time, and the hand holding the sword was hanging in the air, and he didn't know whether to raise or lower it. Come and not go indecently. Since you are so enthusiastic, I also want to ask you to taste it. Li Fan held the Feixing Thunder knife in his hand. The force of the knife continued to condense, and the air seemed to be suppressed. This trick is Point Kangdao. As the last word for the sword fell, a blade of light that was difficult to catch with the naked eye flashed in front of everyone. The blade of light flashed by without causing a wave of waves. Ji Ning and the 7 others felt a breeze blowing on their faces. Besides, there was no other feeling that they were hurt at all. Seeing that they were okay, all of them seemed to have put down a stone in their hearts. Oh, what? It's okay. I thought this knife was so powerful with such a great momentum. The thunder and the rain would be small. I'm scared to death. It's okay. One of them just breathed a sigh of relief in the heart of the old man with a horse face, and suddenly found a strand of silver hair on the edge of his neck falling silently. He stood there blankly and silently. This happened to everyone. There was no wound on everyone's body, only a strand of hair fell quietly. Seeing such a situation, how could Ji Ning and others not know that it was Li Fan being merciful to their men? Li Fan was able to chop off a strand of hair without them feeling, and naturally it could chop off their heads silently. Luo Shi and the other 5 elders of the Pure Palace held cupped hands to Li Fan and backed away. Chu Bianshan and Ji Ning had different expressions on their faces. Unwillingness, struggle, resentment, humiliation, and fear all turned into bitter smiles in the end. They knew that they could not get the key to the ruins from Li Fan. As he wished, Li Fan got the last piece of slate fragments and spliced the 3 broken slabs together to form a round stone plate with seal patterns. After the slate is complete, the aura that is the same as that in Li Fan's body becomes more intense, and the patterns on it become brighter and more vivid. Hey, it really is a map, but I don't need it anymore. Li Fan glanced at the map route on the stone plate lightly. The Lord wants to enter this ruin so much because he wants to break through and enter the realm. I can help you with this, but I also need Ji Sect leader to provide me with some help. Ji Ning's eyes lit up and looked at Li Fan. Does Li Sect leader agree to take me to explore the ruins? What do you need me to do? But it doesn't matter. Li Fan looked at Ji Ning with excitement on his face, shook his head and said, No, Ji Sect leader has misunderstood what I meant. I can just go in for the ruins. Hearing that Li Fan didn't agree that he took the cleansing palace man into the ruins, Ji Ning calmed down and asked in doubt, Then what does Li Sect leader mean? Li Fan smiled slightly, took out a golden pill the size of a longan, and said, This medicine pill is called Hunyuan Breaking Pill, and it can help the sect leader to break through innate. Hunyuan Broken Realm Pill. Could it be? Hearing Li Fan's words, elder of the 7 and 8 realms in the Purity Palace and Ji Ning were stunned for a moment and then seemed to think of something, could not help but shout, Hunyuan Broken Mirror Pill. Which is the 4th rank treasure pill that can let an innate realm cultivator enter the realm. A group of people gathered around, staring closely at the golden pill in Li Fan's hand, especially the elder Luoshi who is in charge of the Clean Palace Pill Hall. The eyeballs were about to stick to Li Fan's hand, making Li Fan suddenly thinking of the strange gaze that Luoshi looked at him on the Fajo at that time. He couldn't help shaking. What? This is too precious. For so many years, it's not that we didn't know about this medicine pill. During the period, we also went to many other sects who were proficient in alchemy. I wanted to ask for a pill, or get the pill recipe. Good too. However, I have never achieved anything. Most of the 7th rank sects have never heard of the name of this pill. Another part of the strong or alchemy sect knows this breaking pill and has mastered its refining methods, but suffers from being unable to open the furnace for refining without the cherished elixir in it. Although Hunyuan Pojing pill is only the 4th rank, it is not considered low grade, but it is far from being a high-rank Ketan God pill. But it is extremely precious to the martial realm cultivator, and because of the scarcity of refining materials, the rate of pill formation is astonishingly low. If you want to refine a Hunyuan broken mirror pill, you often need to prepare 10 times the amount of pill refining materials, which is extremely expensive. Big. Many people can't make up a pill refining panacea, let alone 10. So slowly, many people are not using it to break through and enter the realm. They rely on their own talents and penance. After all, the general sect can't consume it. Of course, the big gates don't care about this. So many people may not have heard of the name of this medicine pill now. Ji Ning's expression was shocked, his eyes fixed on Hunyuan Po boundary pill, and it took a long time to forcibly remove On's eyes, and his voice trembled with excitement. What do you want? Of course he knew that Li Fan must have the corresponding conditions for taking out such a precious medicine pill. Li Fan said directly. First of all, I want all the disciples of Qian Yuanzong to have the freedom to enter and leave Qiran city freely, and my Qian Yuanzong can recruit disciples at will. Hearing this condition, the people in the Purity Palace didn't respond much. This is a trivial matter for them. To be honest, each sect only needs to pay a portion of the spirit stones to get this kind of power. This first condition is completely worthless. Good. Ji Ning nodded. Li Fan took a deep look at him, and then continued, the second thing is also very simple. I don't know if Qingjing Palace is willing to form an alliance with my Qian Yuanzong. What? As soon as Li Fan said this, the 7 elders and Ji Ning from the Qingjing Palace were all shocked. Are you kidding us? Do you still use your strength to form an alliance with us? 39%. Chapter 102. Li Fan's face was calm, and he didn't say much. He chose to form an alliance with the Purity Palace. He naturally had his plans. First of all, the Kanglan region, although only a region, could only be regarded as a small remote region in the entire star realm. There are also broader areas, such as large areas and continents. But even such a small Kanglan domain is 100,000 miles wide, accommodating thousands of sects. During the time he came to this world, Li Fan had experienced a lot, and he also understood that if he wanted to establish a foothold in such a vast world, it was not enough to rely on his own little Qian Yuanzong. We must draw in more helpers and allies with the same interest relationship, and even if there is no interest relationship, we can establish it later. This is not a big problem. With more allies, he can also communicate with these sects and broaden his news channels, such as the ruins near the Purity Palace this time. If he hadn't happened to be approached by someone from the Purification Palace, and he didn't know that this happened, then naturally there would be no chance to continue the path of spiritual practice. And there is one more important point, and that is survival. Although Li Fan has been going smoothly recently, Qian Yuanzong and his own strength are also fast in ascension, but this misty world always makes him very uneasy. Moreover, after his understanding and discussions with Luo Shi along the way, he discovered that the largest sect power in the entire Kanglan region is the 6th rank sect like Qingjing Palace. As for the 5th rank sect, apart from Qian Yuanzong who just came up from ascension, there is no second in the entire Kanglan region, which is obviously very abnormal. A huge universe of stars, such a mysterious world of immortals, is a Taoist cultivator in a region the top. The most important point, and the one that worries Li Fan the most, is that all sects in Kanglan domain have not exceeded 100 years from their establishment to the present. One of the oldest sects has only been established for nearly 90 years. As for other regions or wider areas, Luo Shi is not quite sure, but Luo Shi's guess seems to be the same. We must know that although the ordinary martial arts cultivator is not considered transcendent refined, and has not officially embarked on the road of cultivating immortals, a martial arts 4th stage cultivator has 3 times the lifespan of a mortal. If there is no accident, he can live to be about 300 years old. As for the above, the cultivator life of Tongchao and Guanlaijing will be longer and longer. It is said that an 8-realm cultivator may live for 500 to 600 years. But Li Fan, a cultivator who can live for so long, hasn't seen one. Of course, Luo Shi didn't know it, although he had worried about this kind of thing in his heart. But their Purity Palace is only a 6th rank sect after all. They are considered top in the Kanglan domain, but they have never stepped out of the Kanglan domain. They don't know much about the outside world. Or maybe someone understands it, but didn't say it. Li Fan thought of it. He remained skeptical about this aspect. Naturally, he could not have discovered such an obvious problem alone. How could Sect, who can survive in this land, have fools? Others must be someone who understands the secrets, but it's probably just that no one has said it. There are too many mysteries in this world, and the water is too deep. I am a little fifth-rank sect leader who can't grasp it at all. Li Fan laughed at himself in his heart. I still think of a way to have more strength ascension. A little peace of mind. Before Li Fan continued to think too much, Ji Ning replied, since Li Sect leader sees our Purity Palace, we are naturally very happy about the alliance, but after the alliance, what we need to do, what are the things that need to work together between the sects? Although Ji Ning agreed to Li Fan's proposal, it was only based on Li Fan's strength and realm's high-level face. Because the alliance is too general, Li Fan did not say many details, and there is no direction to work together in the two cases, that is, there is no interest binding. Such verbal promises are useless in Ji Ning's view, just like a child playing a house. When Li Fan heard Ji Ning's consent, he naturally expressed some of his thoughts. Naturally, he could not just talk casually. To be honest, the alliance has been brewing in his heart for a long time. Some basic structures are still clearly. Li Fan cleared his throat and said, first of all, we have to recognize the advantages of the two cases and their strong points. After all, Arqian Yuanzong is in a corner of the country. The location is too remote and the population is sparse. However, because of the sparsely populated area where we are located, there are a lot of spiritual materials and elixir, including some rare treasured spirit mine refiners. There are also a lot of materials. There are also more demonic beasts. Monster Core has plenty of demonic beasts' fur, monster bones, demonic beasts' teeth and claws and other materials for refining magical item. We can establish a business channel in this area and use it for trading. Hearing Li Fan's words, Ji Ning nodded. Although there is a huge city like Kirin City under his Purity Palace sect, there are also many types of cultivation resources available in the city, but no one knows such things as cultivation resources. Too much. If you can establish business with Qian Yuanzong in exchange for things, or buy these materials at a low price, it is also a deal that can be done, although this deal is not important in Ji Ning's mind. Li Fan did not pause, and continued. The most important point is that our Qian Yuanzong is also a fifth-rank sect. Our strength can still be known. If the Guizhong encounters any crisis, our Qian Yuanzong includes I can help, and every time I help Guizhong, I have to pay some price, but since I am an ally, I will definitely give you a discount. Also, my sect still has some background. If you need some precious but rare treasures such as medicine pills, spirit instruments, formations, etc., you can also trade with me. Maybe I just have the things you need. Of course, you have to put out extras that can make my heart move. After all, I am not doing charity either. As soon as these words came out, not only Ji Ning, but also the 7 remaining elders in the Palace of Purity became excited, eyes flashing green. According to Li Fan, when Qingjing Palace needs help, he can ask Qian Yuanzong for help. This matter is still quite attractive to Ji Ning. Because no sect can guarantee that they will not encounter difficult troubles or potentially fatal crises, with the help of a powerful Dao realm ally and a 5th-rank sect, their purification palace will be more stable. Especially Ji Ning discovered that in the past few months, the weirdness outside the mist has become stronger and stronger, and the number seems to have increased a lot than before. This allowed his purification palace to increase the casualties of many disciples who went out to defend the city or explore the fog to collect resources. And soon, it's time for the 10 territory great competition to compete for the position of the domain master. At that time, I don't know if he can ask Qian Yuanzong to help him out. Ji Ning's heart is hot when he thinks of this. Suddenly a voice came, and Li Fan raised his eyes to see that it was Luo Elder who was still familiar with him. 39%. Chapter 103 Auto-generated chapter title. The 103rd Palm entering the ruins. Li Sect leader, you just said that your precious medicine pill can also be exchanged with us. I want to ask if there is still the Hunyuan broken mirror pill you gave to Ji Sect leader. Luo Shi's eyes flashed green, looked at Li Fan earnestly. At this point, the others also stared at Li Fan hopingly. Many of them have been immersed in innate realm for many years, and there are also 4 veteran cultivators, like Na Jinning, who have been stuck at the peak of innate realm for a long time. Their age is also relatively old, and after a few years, their energy and blood will gradually decline and decline. Therefore, they are also extremely eager for Pojing pill. Li Fan looked at their desire look, and smiled in his heart. The Broken Realm pill was extremely precious to them for their hope of cultivation, but for him, it was only 300 strands of merit that could be exchanged in the system. Not too expensive. Even if one of them were given to 7 of them, it would be no more than 2,100 merits. He still has more than 30,000 merit points, and this point of consumption is still affordable. But as he said just now, he is not doing charity, and people like them are also not relatives and don't give them the breakthrough Danbai for some reason. The gift of Na Jinning just now was just to pave the way for the alliance, and to avoid Ji Ning, who wanted to rely on the ruins to break through to the realm when he was exploring the ruins, to make trouble for him. As for now, Li Fan opened his mouth and said, "This boundary pill is extremely precious, and I don't have a few in my hand." At this point, Li Fan stopped speaking. When Luo Shi and the others heard Li Fan's words, their minds changed sharply. There are not a few, which means there are still a few more. The old people who think of the peaks of innate realm here are full of enthusiasm. Whatever you say today, you have to change to a boundary pill, no matter what method you use, how much price you pay. Several people glanced at each other, and they all saw a bit of hostility in the eyes of their friends and friends for many years. They were shocked. These are all competitors who are fighting against me. Luo Shi's small eyes on his wrinkled and thin face turned sharply, and the first one said, "Li Sect leader, the old man is not a precious treasure, but he has been a Dantang elder for decades. Alchemy still has a superficial understanding, and there are a lot of pill recipes and medicine pill in hand. Although Sect leader Li is not able to use his strength, he should still be of great use to many of Guozong's disciples." Luo Shi pulled Li Fan aside, took out hundreds of bottles and cans from his waist storage bag, and a pile of pill recipe recorded in spiritual paper, and said, "Li Sect leader, see if there is any those who can be eye-catching. These are all for you and I only ask for a Broken Realm pill." Luo Shi looked at Li Fan with a smile, with hope in his eyes. "Hey, this old boy has hidden so many medicine pills privately, it's too much." "That's right, Sect leader, look at it, this Luo Shi, as Dantang elder, has his own pockets and is greedy for Sect's money. You have to be the master for us." Ji Ning silently looked at Sect elder who was older than him and pretended to be crazy and stupid, and sighed helplessly. People have been in Sect Dantang for decades. Isn't it normal to accumulate these medicine pill and pill recipes? Moreover, the expenditures of the elixir and medicine pill in the sect are all recorded. If Luo Shi dared to greet so much medicine pill, he would have been reported by the secret line he inserted in Sect. You are not allowed to practice more by yourself these years. Have you got some medicine pill? As for when he was refining medicine pill, each time he refined medicine pill, 1 or 2 less medicine pills, and 1 or 2 more elixir, he naturally wouldn't care about it. This is not a big deal. After all, it is elder with a high authority who is responsible for a branch of sect. Can he really not give any benefit to others? None of these old people knows about this. There one dare to swear to Heavenly Tao that they haven't got any sect resources in these years. They are simply shouting and catching the thief. It's no more disgusting and disgusting Luo Shi deliberately now. To be a joke, Ji Ning naturally wouldn't take it seriously. He simply closed his mouth tightly and looked away, pretending that he didn't hear anything that didn't matter to me. Seeing that Ji Ning didn't care, these elders yelled in a hurry, squeezing towards Li Fan one by one, wanting to get medicine pill before the Pojing pill was replaced. Li Fan didn't care about the thoughts of these people, but carefully watched the various medicine pill and pill recipes that Luo Shi took out. "I don't know, I was shocked when I saw it, good fellow, not to mention the preciousness of the rank. First of all, this kind of category is really comprehensive. Temporarily mention physical strength, body speed, ascension spiritual mind, healing, and various realm cultivators used as ascension cultivation base. What kind of play is this? Baikan Ju Po Gu pill, original great yin and yang pill, 5 elements snake Gu pill, Yu Hang I Ching magic pill." Li Fan focused his attention on this strange pill recipe, and when he took a closer look, he discovered what it was doing, and several black lines could not help but rise up on his forehead. Baikan Ju Po Gu pill and 5 elements snake Gu pill are 2 kinds of poison pills that are used against the enemy. Li Fan has only heard of this before, but has never seen it. After all, it is against the enemy for him. The knife in his hand is not fast, or his mastery of the 5 thunder supernatural powers is no longer good. It takes such a troublesome pill refining to kill the enemy, but since this kind of poison pill exists, it shows that this thing still has its unique function, or it will be eliminated early. Li Fan just put it away without taking a closer look. Later Hao Zong throws it to Ren Guan to study. As for Yu Hang I Ching magic pill, it is a bit interesting. This is actually a medicine pill used to explode. After taking it, the meridians can burst out a power that is several times stronger than the current realm. When the mountains and rivers are exhausted, they can be much stronger than themselves. Kill the enemy. This thing is pretty good, but it's a one-time use, and you die. It's too expensive, save it for later. The last pill recipe that aroused Li Fan's interest is very interesting, the original Big Yin and Yang Dan. The name is very mysterious and very good. Li Fan carefully checked the introduction of the pill recipe. After reading it, he almost didn't spit out a mouthful of blood. Gone, what primitive yin and yang pill, isn't it a dual cultivation medicine pill? I thought it was a Taoist cultivator with such a tall name. To improve the medicine pill of cultivation base. He was originally alone, so whoever should use this game, he wanted to put it away if he wasn't angry, and waited for that disciple to use it for them in the future. But finally glanced again and saw a densely packed small print. This Dan is not only used to promote fun between male and female cultivators, and to enhance the effectiveness of cultivation base. It is also possible between male and male cultivators. All things are equal, and all emotional old men are treated equally. By the way, using this pill between demonic beasts can also promote primitive desire hope. The old man said above that all things are equal. This is a great pill recipe that benefits the common people and promotes the reproduction of creatures. Signature Zhang Pengyan. Good guy. Li Fan immediately threw this game out after reading it. What the hell, FK, the always calm Li Fan couldn't help but explode. As for this ghost medicine pill, someone still wanted to sign it, marking that he was the creator of this pill recipe, and Li Fan was speechless. After a moment of silence, Li Fan calmly put the pill recipe he had formed into a system backpack. He thought in his mind that he would use it for his disciples in the future, for his disciples, and also cultivate a spirit beast. He wanted to do something a long time ago, and this pill recipe is still a bit useful. Put away a lot of pill recipe and medicine pill. Li Fan looked at Luo Shi with a charming smile and took out a pill. I will accept your medicine pill recipe, and I can exchange it for you with a pill. Luo Shi, who took over medicine pill, looked happy and excited. Although his realm has not yet reached the peak of innate, he is indispensable as a Dantang Elder medicine pill. It will not take too long to develop cultivation base ascension to the point where he can refine this boundary-breaking pill, and then enter the road. There is hope for the environment. Thinking of this, Luo Shi's heart was fierce, and he couldn't even think of it in the previous realm. He happily put the Po boundary pill in his storage bag, and fled like the 6 elders who surrounded him and Li Fan. Zhang ran out, for fear that someone would snatch the Po Jing Dan he got. An hour later, Li Fan swapped out 6 pills of Broken Realm. The 8th great innate realm of the Qingjing Palace was handed one. After seeing this scene, Luo Shi, who was originally leisurely and proud, instantly felt that the pill of Broken Realm was in his hand. Incense. As for the calm and serious Ji Ning, his eyelids were jumping wildly. He didn't know how rich Li Fan's wealth was. So many cherished Po boundary pills were taken out, and he took out so much at once. At the same time, Ji Ning became more jealous of Li Fan. This ally is too unfathomable. Not only is his own cultivation base strong, but also so rich. I don't know how many masters there are in Qian Yuanzong under his command. Fortunately with him the alliance has turned the enemy into a friend, otherwise I really don't know if my Purity Palace will be destroyed by him. Everyone who got the Pojing pill, you looked at me and looked at you with a smile. At the same time, they also had a deep respect and jealousy for Li Fan in front of them. They all thought in their hearts, we must bond with Li Sect leader, and embrace this Thai with profound foundation and amazing strength, and we must not be an enemy with him. As for whether it was a joke because he saw that Li Fan was so wealthy, he was conscious of the wealth. They are all so courageous, not to mention that the Li Fan in front of them is far beyond the strength of the ordinary cultivator of the Taoist realm, and it is estimated that there will be no less masters in the 5th rank sect under his command. For these people, Li Fan can still produce so many cherished boundary pills. Isn't it even greater for own sect? Li Fan was also very satisfied at this time. He was very pleased and satisfied looking at the massive practice resources and various pill recipe medicine pill, forging drawings, magical item spirit weapons, and dozens of martial skills in his system package. The value of the things he exchanged for a boundary pill was several times higher than the merit points consumed by a boundary pill. He exchanged Pojing pills with people like Qingjing Palace at a premium, but these people still flock to them, not because they are stupid and rich, but because Pojing pills have a price and no market. They can't buy them in other places. Naturally, the price is high. And since just now, the system reminder in his mind has been ticking, ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and obtaining the 4th rank spell. Ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and obtaining the 3rd rank spell. Ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and obtaining the 2nd rank pill recipe. Ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and obtaining the 4th rank forging blueprint. Ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and winning the 4th rank spirit mine. Yes, the things he obtained from trading with these people have also been multiplied by the system, so his gains are even more unimaginable. The value of these things alone is probably no less than all the treasures in a secret realm. Li Fan and the 8 and 8 realm of the Qingjing Palace were satisfied. After learning the address of the ruins from Ji Ning, Li Fan also set off to the ruins. Sure enough, the power in my body as soon as I get here is as if a drop of seawater melts into the vast ocean, with the same route, without any obstacles. Li Fan looked at the magnificent aura in front of him, and there was a smile at the corner of his mouth that exuded a faint vicissitudes of life. Let me take a good look at what kind of road I am on now. 40%. Chapter 104. The 3 incomplete slate fragments merged together to form a perfectly round stone plate. As Li Fan got closer and closer to the gate of the ruins in front of him, the stone disc exudes a shining spiritual light, like a night pearl that emits brilliance at night, with a soft and bright light. The magnificent ancient ruins in front of him seemed to sense the arrival of Li Fan. In a flash, the masterpiece of Guanghua swallowed Li Fan's entire body into the brilliance, and then the entire vast ruins became illusory and gradually disappeared. After the ruins disappeared, the place became a large plain. At this time, following Li Fan, preparing to see what is so strange about the ruins they had discovered for a long time but couldn't enter, Qingjing Gongjining and the others looked at the entire ruins that had disappeared like phantoms and looked at each other. Palace Master, this is, what's the situation? The Qingjing Palace disciple who had been responsible for guarding the ruins and ensuring that it would not be found by outsiders murmured. The disciples who followed Qingjing Gongjining and the other 7 elders were puzzled and shocked. They have been guarding here for a long time, and they are very familiar with this ruin, but at this time, the huge ruins occupying a large area are gone. How have they seen such a formation? The scene before them was too incredible for them. In fact, let alone the disciples of the dirty fostering realm and the aperture through realm, even the cultivators at the peak of innate realm, such as Ji Ning and Chu Bianshan, were deeply shocked by the scene before them, and they were puzzled. However, Chu Bianshan is a veteran innate realm cultivator after all. He is knowledgeable, and he has a deep knowledge of formation. He took a few steps to the place where the ruins had just disappeared. He presses his palm on the ground, with spirit power condensed in his palm. This place has a strong wave of formation aura. While talking about Chu Bianshan and looking at the surrounding terrain, his voice was a little surprised. It is the formation of Chenkin transmission. Hearing what he said, Ji Ning's eyes condensed a little anxiously and said, how can there be a large formation of that level in this ruin? Ji Ning couldn't believe it for a while. All formations that have the ability to teleport are the 1st rank formations. These formations can run at full force and can even teleport a whole area with the roots. The higher the degree of activation of its operation, the farther the transmission distance. When this kind of formation runs to the extreme, it can transport a domain from the most eastern to the westernmost position of the astral realm, across the entire astral realm. It's over. I don't know where Li Sect leader will be teleported to. Ji Ning felt worried. Even if it only leaked a little bit of power, it might be able to span an unknown number of regions. Just now that Li Fan and the entire ruins were teleported away, at least it must not be in the Kanglan domain now. As for how far away it can be teleported, it depends on luck. Even an accident may be teleported to a deserted place where no one is inhabited. Whether it can be returned in this life or not, if there is a huge number of powerful weirs in the area teleported to, it will be dead. Thinking of this, Ji Ning and the 7 elders of the Qingjing Palace were a little lamented in their hearts. It was hard to find a strong financial resource and a person with whom he had just negotiated a cooperation and alliance. As a result, He didn't know where to be teleported to, and whether he could see him again in his life was a matter of two opinions. Ji Ning's eyebrows were frowned into a word, Chuan. He originally expected Li Fan to help him win the 10 territory competition and win the position of territory lord for the Purity Palace. There was no hope now. Hey, everyone in the Qingjing Palace shook their heads and sighed, then turned and left here. After this incident, they vowed that they would never go into any ruins again. They didn't think that their lives would be too long. They didn't see the living example of Li Fan. Among the remains, Li Fan just raised his foot and stepped into the celestial ruins in front of him, and felt that there was a flower in front of him, and his whole consciousness was stagnant for a moment. Huh, what's the matter? Li Fan shook his head, feeling a little fuzzy just now, but he immediately recovered to his original state after a while. Maybe there is something strange about this ruin. He didn't care too much. His mind was completely attracted by the sight before him. The trees are overgrown, the grass is luxuriant, the Chonglo Yuyu, the auspicious fairy light. There are cranes crowing in the jungle, and there is auspicious beast drinking water next to the spirit spring, and the rays of light linger in the fairy chi bursts, which is a good place for immortals. It's a pity that Li Fan concentrated, and saw a ray of light flashing in his eyes. The peaceful scene in front of him was light-colored glaze being cut and shattered by swordsmen. At this time, looking again, only the scorched branches of the green trees were left. The luxuriant grasses were left with only a piece of ash. Chonglo Yuyu turned into ruined walls, and the auspicious and celestial light turned into yin and rising. Take a closer look at what cranes and beasts there are. They are nothing but dream bubbles. 1 second was a fairy homeland, and the next second it turned into a desolate barren valley, which made people embarrassed. Li Fan felt a little confused. He probably understood what was going on just now. Judging from the traces left here, what he saw just now should be what it looked like a few years ago, but now it has long since turned into such a desolate sight. I just don't know why he saw the old look here. Maybe this place is also unwilling to the present. Follow him. The important thing now is to see if I can find a way to follow my path of practice. Li Fan said in his heart, stepping into the depths of the ruins. It didn't take long for Li Fan to visit the small ruins, but unfortunately, he didn't find anything useful in it. During the period, he also found some exquisite-looking artifacts and weapons in a dilapidated building with complicated patterns engraved on them. These weapons and artifacts looked very bouffin. It seems to have a great power, but unfortunately, after the erosion of the years, all of them have now lost their brilliance, turned into ordinary, and have no effect. Li Fan walked all the way, and the more places he walked, the more disappointed he felt in his heart. He didn't find anything useful in the remains of Bufin, let alone the follow-up cultivation technique. But the only thing that surprised Li Fan was that there was no fog in this area. The all-pervasive mist that engulfed the entire world didn't even penetrate here, and Li Fan walked along the road unimpeded and didn't encounter any danger. He didn't see any of the forbidden magic circles often found in Secret Realm Sect. Finally Li Fan wandered around the whole ruins, and all the houses and buildings were also entered, but there was no surprise to find. It seemed that this place was just an old site where ordinary mortals lived. To be honest, if it hadn't been for the beginning of Li Fan entering here and seeing this place's original celestial air, he would have left. The reason why I have patiently searched every corner is that I always feel that this place must be Bufin, which contains the universe. But now Li Fan is finally ready to give up. For no other reason, he has already traveled every corner of this place, not even a brick or broken tile, and has been looking for the sacred pupil. Among them, Bufin may be hidden. There was no difference in the result. This made Li Fan very disappointed. Is it possible that I really can't find a follow-up method of practice? Li Fan shook his head faintly, and cleared the depression in his heart. I'm still too impatient, and this is just an accidental discovery. There is no way here, I won't go ahead. Li Fan, who had figured it out, calmed down. He bypassed all the ruined walls, dry springs and dead trees, and returned to the entrance where he first entered the ruins. Fang Qian, who only wanted to benefit from the ruins, Li Fan didn't care about the stone monument standing here. Now I saw it suddenly, which made Li Fan a little surprised. It shouldn't be. I turned around here just now for many times, but I didn't find such a stone tablet here. Why did I suddenly see it when I came back here now? Li Fan felt something was wrong. Just now, he carefully looked at every part of this ruin with the broken holy pupil, for fear of missing something, but he really hadn't seen this stone monument. As Li Fan stared at this unremarkable stone stele, a soft light slowly rose from the stele, and the light continued to expand and envelop the entire ruins. the speed of the light rising so fast that Li Fan did not have time to escape, being shrouded in it together. 40%. Chapter 105. 100 Layers of White Jade Platform. Li Fan's eyes were all white, as if being drawn into another world. This feeling made him a little familiar. This breath, this feeling, is like the inside magical powers of the Jinling Zong. He muttered to himself. However, there is still a little difference. The aura here seems to be not as strong as the aura of his inside magic power last time. Li Fan shook his head and finally saw the scenery in front of him. A white jade platform was stacked in steps before his eyes. From a glance, the white jade stairs have only 100 layers, but each layer is 50 meters long and wide, which looks very spectacular. Each layer of stairs is stacked to form a step that opens up to the sky. Li Fan turned his head and looked around. Everything in the empty pale space seemed so illusory and unreal, like a dream. Moreover, there was nothing in the entire space except the white jade staircase in front of him, and it seemed very empty. Seeing this situation, Li Fan walked straight to the bayou stairs. After all, there was no other place to go except this place. The only special thing here was this ladder. Li Fan stood in front of the stairs on the first floor and did not step up. He was considering whether the jade platform in front of him would hide any danger. He looked at it for a long time, used the power in his body to test continuously and tried to slash the sword energy on the jade platform with a knife, but unfortunately there was no response at all. As soon as his sword chi approached the yutai, it fell like a drizzle into the lake, with only slight ripples. There was no more movement. It seems like I can only go up and take a look. Li Fan gritted his teeth and stepped directly onto this unknown jade platform. This kind of unknown is something Li Fan hates, because the unknown will bring unpredictable changes, making him unable to distinguish between good and bad, which makes him somewhat helpless, who has always been cautious. But at the moment he seems to have no other way, unless he intends to stay here forever. The moment his feet stepped on the jade platform, a Taoist shadow slowly condensed in front of his eyes, a young man with a gentle face and two striking sword eyebrows. The young man was wearing an elegant blue-patterned robe with a purple long sword tied around his waist, and under his brows were clear and bright eyes and a long figure. The long flowing hair was erected at will by a jade crown, which made the young man look unruly and unrestrained under his gentle face. The boy looked at Li Fan calmly, but after holding the cupped fist, he pulled out the purple long sword in his hand, and then raised his eyebrows. Please enlighten me. Li Fan looked at the handsome boy who suddenly appeared in front of him with doubts. He didn't rush to take action, but threw out the doubts in his heart. Where is this? How can I get out? Who are you? Why do you want to compete with me? The boy didn't say a word. His face was as old as he could not hear Li Fan's voice, but he still said indifferently, please enlighten me. Li Fan frowned, unable to figure out the situation for a while, and continued to ask questions. But after asking several times, the former boy still said the faint, please enlighten me. He had no choice but to draw out the flying star thunder knife, and bowed fist with a cupped fist, please enlighten me. Hearing Li Fan's words, the young man's eyes seemed to have a little more aura and no longer so lifeless. His long sword drooped his body and burst out with a powerful force to stab Li Fan. Seeing the tip of the sword with a little bit of cold light piercing his eyebrows, Li Fan's long knife slashed away. Just when the swords were about to collide, Li Fan's wrist shook slightly, and the long knife swung away the tip of the sword. However, Feixing Li Guang knife casts his momentum unabated, and is about to hit the young man. After a fight, Li Fan judged the teenager's realm. This energetic and bloody physical condensing seemed to be the peak strength of the refining stage, which was the first level of the martial stage. It's just that the subtle aura is somewhat different, but the strength is still far from comparable to Li Fan. So the long sword was easily swung away, and he was about to die by Li Fan's knife. Li Fan obviously didn't expect the boy realm who suddenly appeared on this jade platform to be so low. He stopped quickly. The Feixing thunder knife hung beside the young man's neck, and the sharp blade cut off a few strands of hair around his ear. The young man didn't care about arching his cupped hands, and his figure suddenly disappeared. This made Li Fan even more confused. What is the situation? It suddenly appears and disappears after playing. Does this mean that I want to keep going up? He waited in place for a while, seeing nothing unusual. No new figures appeared on the first jade platform. Li Fan continued to walk towards the second jade platform. Still the same as before. The same young man appeared to repeat the same, please enlighten me. The only difference is that it seems that this boy is a little older. his face is a little more mature, and his strength is also stronger at that time, probably to the point of washing the marrow of the middle stage. It is difficult for Li Fan to raise interest in facing such an opponent, and he still defeats him with one trick. The young figure dissipated once again, and Li Fan also came to the third order jade platform. After a while, Li Fan finally came to the 10th jade platform. At this time, he already felt some worries. Just now, every time he went up the jade platform, the young figure's strength was a bit stronger. By the 9th level, the young man already had a strength higher than that of the innate realm, but it was still a bit worse than Li Fan. After these 9 levels of discussion, Li Fan had already felt that the young man's practice realm seemed to be different from those of them, and it was not divided according to the way of martial arts. And if you really have to constantly beat every layer of human figures to move on, Li Fan looked at the huge jade platform of the 90th order, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. The boy on the 9th floor is only a little weaker than me. Going further, the boy doesn't know what he will become stronger again. What should I do? With such doubts and worries, Li Fan boarded the 10th jade platform. Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me. Li Fan was familiar with the road and started to discuss with this 10th tier boy in reply. As soon as he played against Li Fan, he realized that the strength of this young man was not much different from him. The only thing he had built was his continuously tempered spirit power and the solid foundation of his body, which was slightly stronger than that young man. That's a bit of a loss. But it is also very limited. Moreover, after this young man arrived at this realm, what he showed was no longer a simple sword technique. What talisman and magic techniques were also emerging one after another, and the cooperation was very thorough and powerful. However, Li Fan still relied on his tyrannical body to defeat the young man after the two played a few hundred moves, and won the match. Looking at the figure of the young man in front of him who once again disappeared, Li Fan's face was somewhat solemn. I don't know how much the metamorphosis of the next layer will be ascension. Li Fan gripped the Fixing Thunder knife in his hand and stepped on the 11th floor. 40%. Chapter 106. Illusion. Li Fan jumped and stood firmly on the 11th jade platform with his legs. The aura in the jade platform was misty, but after waiting for a while, Li Fan did not see the figure of the 22-3 that he was already familiar with. What's the situation? Don't you need to compete again? Could it be that this jade platform knows that realm is here to take care of me? It's quite smart, Li Fan said in his heart, and carefully looked around the jade platform, for fear that something suddenly appeared to give him a fatal blow. However, Li Fan didn't wait too long. After the tea time, new changes appeared on Yutai. A faint sound came into Li Fan's ears. The voice was extremely misty and illusory, but it seemed extremely clear. Every word were deeply imprinted in his heart like a knife and axe. Make him unforgettable. At the same time, the power absorbed and transformed by Theodore in Li Fan's body was also mobilized to run naturally. The power in his body revolves naturally according to the faint sound in his ears, and it continues to grow stronger, and Li Fan's realm is also rapidly ascension. But this also made Li Fan feel extremely illusory. It was absolutely impossible that his realm would naturally fit ascension without absorbing the spirit power and swallowing the panacea without any training. As time passed bit by bit, his realm also reached the 2nd floor of the foundation building, but this feeling made Li Fan feel very unreal, like a dream bubble that broke at once. He secretly had a judgment in his heart, all of this should be just an illusion. When the figures on the 9th and 10th levels were compared, the figure was also very powerful in spells and swordsmanship, so Li Fan also suffered some minor injuries, and a deep blood mark was left on his right arm by the long sword. But when he boarded the new jade platform, the injuries he suffered before were completely gone, and the physical strength he had consumed was restored to its peak state. This naturally made Li Fan suspicious, so now even his realm's natural ascension is not a surprise, some are just curious. I don't know if I can be resurrected if I die in this illusion. Also, is the trajectory of the internal energy of my body and the cultivation technique printed in my mind real and effective? Finally, Li Fan's realm finally stabilized on the 2nd floor of the foundation building. At this time, a new figure was slowly condensed on the jade platform. It was the young man who had matured a lot before. Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me. Li Fan had fought with the young figure for many times, and was familiar with his sword technique. This young man's sword technique sword was dexterous and light, like a bottomless lake. Once it was fully developed, there was no way to resist it. All the best way is to take the initiative to disrupt his sword momentum and prevent him from having the opportunity to accumulate power. Li Fan took the lead from the beginning, point King 36 knives. The lavender thunder light on the Fei Xing Lei Guang knife shook the young man with bursts of sound. With a clang, Li Fan slashed the young man's purple long sword with a heavy 36 knives, and the swords joined together and brought a fierce wave of air that swept across the entire jade platform. This is. Li Fan wielded a knife and slashed to maintain a fierce offensive, while secretly marveling at the young man's response. After the young figure condensed, Li Fan felt his breath. His realm and Li Fan are both the strength of the second floor of the foundation building. According to Li Fan's estimation, even if the young man was not easily injured by him with the full force of the knife he had just now, at least he would have to be suppressed by his sword, and his vitality surged in chaos for a while. But the young man was unscathed and was not affected in any way. The willingness lies in the technique that the young man just displayed. Just now when Li Fan's dotted sword slashed on the young man's long sword, a layer of green light appeared on the young man's whole body, including his long sword. It should be a defensive protection technique, but only with this, there is no way to completely remove Li Fan's offensive. Therefore, the jade platform under the young man's feet was also covered with a layer of brilliance, becoming extremely solid and hard, and a strong counter-shock force was transmitted from it. Li Fan felt this power just now, and it was this power that combined with the green light on the young man's body to easily dissolve his point blue sword offensive. Just now he used at least 2 spells in an instant. No, Li Fan suddenly thought of the gentle breeze that hit the young man's body, and was shocked. It should be 3 spells, and the breeze also played. It played an important role and unknowingly weakened my slashing power. With the ascension of the Jade Steps, Li Fan also discovered that the young figure has grown a lot not only in his age, but also in his combat experience and combat methods. He even has some fantastic ideas in Li Fan's eyes. The sense of subtlety. For example, before Li Fan resisted the enemy's attack, he used defensive spells, or his own strength, or avoided. But he never thought that he could use a combination of multiple spells to achieve such an easy and efficient result. Or it was not unimaginable that he could not achieve the magic moment at all before, because before he broke through the martial state, the spirit power in his body still had some separation and stagnation. It's not like he is now in the foundation building realm so that his own power can be fully invoked with a single thought, and the spells are also free from hard movement without stagnation. Li Fan gradually became excited. He suddenly felt that it was not so boring to fight against this young man. From it he could see many fighting methods he had never seen before and thought of, breaking through the limitations of his thinking. Gradually, Li Fan also began to try to change his fighting style. Laugh. Li Fan's long knife slashed away from the oncoming wind knife, and at the same time it struck the young man's chest. The young man flew back and avoided the knife. But halfway through the retreat, he was blocked by a stone wall that appeared suddenly. It was the spiritual shield that was condensed at the same time when Li Fan attacked with a knife just now. It's just that this time his spiritual shield is not used to resist the enemy's attack, but to restrict the enemy's retreat. Clang. Boom. 2 voices came out, and the young man hurriedly saw Li Fan's knife with a long sword, but because of the lack of strength, he was also shocked by the force of the knife and his internal organs were shocked. For a time, a trace of blood was spilled from the corner of his mouth. The Yu's attack method opened a new door for Li Fan. He didn't pay much attention to magic as a method before. The reason is that he feels that those spells are fancy and useless. Not as fast, fierce, and profitable as his sword, or as powerful as his magical powers to master the 5 thunders, and to use them quickly, it is completely tasteless. So he didn't spend his energy to learn new spells, and he now mastered 1 spiritual soil thorn, 1 spiritual soil shield and 2 7th-rank spells. It looks extremely shabby. However, Li Fan also made up his mind to wait until he got out of here, and must go find more suitable spells and practice for him to form his unique fighting method. 41%. Chapter 107. A monster is looking for us, run away. At this time, Li Fan had fought against the young man for hundreds of rounds. It was also the first time that Li Fan had fought fiercely for so long. Usually, relying on his tyrannical strength and supernatural powers, he quickly resolved the battle. This was the first time he encountered this situation, but Li Fan did not feel upset at this time, but gradually became immersed in it. I was immersed in the rapid ascension of actual combat experience, and the joy of gradual improvement in his own swordsmanship. He feels that if he can get out from here this time, even if his cultivation base realm remains unchanged, his strength will also have a huge ascension. Bang bang bang. Li Fan seized the opportunity to repel the young man with his own tyrannical physical power, and finally forced him into the enclosing wall of the spirit earth shield that had been brewing and cohesive since a long time ago. 3 wide and tall stone walls of spiritual earth shield surrounded the young man, and then Li Fan quickly blocked the last vacant place with a stone wall. A square stone wall was formed. Soul Soil Thorn. With a wave of Li Fan's hand, a few small sharp spiritual soil thorns emerged from the young man's feet in the dark yellow stone wall, piercing his body. Then, the 4 stone walls disappeared, the young man was covered with blood holes, and his figure slowly disappeared. Finally past this level. I don't know what's going on outside. I don't know if those disciples in the sect have practiced hard. Kanglan Domain, Xingqian County, within the Jinling sect. Song Yu's face was tired and worried. She had been a little restless since some time ago, and she didn't know what was going on. The cultivation technique she cultivated can greatly ascension her spiritual sense, and make her sense of danger very powerful. After coming to this world, she has gone all the way with her own 5th-rank cultivation technique of the Golden Spirit Sect. She also avoided many dangers by relying on her especially excellent spiritual sense. She led her disciples into the fog to explore several times, and it was her spiritual sense to avoid encountering powerful weirdness or demonic beasts. Only this time, after receiving news from a friend who had entered the Redridge Stone Forest with her to complete the last system mission 3 days ago, she had been a little restless. That person, like her, was also exposed to Li Fan's light, assisted in completing the system task, and received 500 points of merit. With this merit point, the person's strength, realm ascension, is also faster. When chatting with her a week ago, it was said that he had reached the 9th level of the Tongqiao realm. I plan to make another breakthrough in the Ascension Tower. Ascension uses actual combat experience to find a breakthrough opportunity. By the way, Ascension ranks. But just 3 days ago, that person suddenly sent her a message. Song Yu hurriedly responded to the inquiry after seeing it, but he was not getting a reply from that person. After a while, Song Yu saw that the person's system avatar had gone dark. This means that the person is dead. This time Song Yu's inner anxiety reached its extreme. She recalled the last message that came, "A monster is looking for us, run away." Song Yu muttered to herself, "What monster? Looking for us? What are you doing with me?" Her mind turned over. She and the person only met in the Redridge Stone Forest, and there was no other intersection except that time, if what the person said was true. That monster could only be looking for them who went to the Redridge Stone Forest to complete the mission. Song Yu, who had figured out the key, was shocked and hurriedly contacted the people who had been involved in the task, only to find out that something really happened. At the beginning, they participated in the Redridge Stone Forest mission together, except for some who died in the Stone Forest, plus her own total of 25 people. But now as soon as she got in touch, she found that the system avatars of 15 people had gone dark, apparently they had been killed. The other 8 of them also learned about the incident under her notification. Some moved their families and prepared to escape, and some were looking for powerful allies to fight against unknown monsters. Originally, Song Yu wanted to find Li Fan, and the 2 cases worked together to overcome the difficulties, but she couldn't get in touch with Li Fan, and she sent many messages without receiving any response. Now her heart became more anxious. Is Li Fan killed too? She quickly checked and found that Li Fan's avatar was still normal in the system display, and she was relieved. If someone as strong as Li Fan is horrible, she will be even more hopeless. But knowing that Li Fan is okay and useless, she still can't get in touch. She sent the last message to Li Fan and asked him to contact her after seeing it. Then closed the system interface. After exploring Dongtianfuti together last time, she also established some friendship with the Supreme View Master. She was not ready to sit and wait for death, and stood up to go to the Supreme View for help and prepare to resist this crisis. She had also thought about whether to take the entire Jinlingzong whole sect with 700 disciples to move and run, but she felt that since the monster could find and kill many people from the north and the south, she can't run away even if she runs, because she doesn't know how the monster found them, she couldn't find a way to solve the monster tracking them, and where she could go. No matter how much resources are paid, the price must be overwhelmed by this crisis. Song Yu made a decision in his heart and walked outside the Jinlingzong. Boom. Just when Song Yu walked out of the Great Hall of Jinlingzong, a huge sound came from the clan. The gate of Jinlingzong was knocked down by a black light, and then the whole cold gray mist enveloped the whole Jinlingzong. In the gray fog, a huge goat-shaped shadow that was 3 stories tall came slowly from outside the gate of Jinlingzong Mountain. The goat shadow held a handful of black long thorns in his hands. On the long thorns were several Jinlingzong Mountain Patrol disciples who were covered in blood with blood in their mouths, and the Jinlingzong disciples who were pierced by the black thorns were dying and still had a breath. They seeing Song Yu's lips open and close, he made a very small cry. Zong, sect leader, fast, fast. Run. The goat shadow glanced at the person in his hand, opened his mouth full of fangs, and bit on the dying disciples of Jinlingzong like a string. He swallowed them all into his mouth and chewed. Creak, creak. The big mouth of the goat's shadow opened and closed, and wisps of scarlet blood flowed from the corner of the mouth. There was still sticking on the black thorn, and the unclean arm stuck on the monster's spike. It flicked its bony claws that held the long and narrow black thorns, and flicked the arms attached to the black thorns like a mosquito. The broken arm with the slivers of meat flew around and fell in front of Song Yu, splashing a few drops of blood on her pretty and soft face. Song Yu stood outside the great hall of the sect, looking pale and angry with the scene in front of him. Seeing this monster killing her disciples in such a way, a red firebird with a terrifying temperature that burned and twisted the air around her appeared before her. Some melting heat waves hit the goat shadow. Golden Crow 9 changes. This spell is a 3rd rank spell that she has accumulated for a long time to exchange merits, and is her most powerful skill at the bottom of the box. She wanted to use this technique to turn the monster that brutally swallowed her disciples into ashes. Die me. Song Yu let out an angry roar. 41%. Chapter 108. The bright 3-legged golden crow condensed by crimson flames rushed to the mountain goat. Boom. The scorching high-temperature flame hit the monster and exploded like a cluster of fireworks, and the high-temperature sparks ignited the dead trees in the Jinlingzong that had turned into pitch black. Kind of flames. The shadow of the goat slowly walked out of the radiating sparks, and every step of its huge body brought a thumping sound, and the ground under its feet also cracked and shattered. Song Yu looked at the unscathed monster in front of him, his eyes widened, and his face was astonished, fearful, and crazy. She understands that she can't escape in front of such monsters, she and Jinlingzong, are over. She looked crazily and kept roaring, raising her hands with a series of magic spells that blasted the goat shadow with fierce power. Go to die, go to die, go to die. Song Yu roared and wailed, and continued to attack but still couldn't stop the monster from approaching step by step. The goat monster was surrounded by a thin layer of mist, making it hard to see its face and expression. It wandered leisurely in the Jinlingzong and took a shot. The disciples of the Jinlingzong who fled in fear in the distance were caught by him, stuffed it towards the owner's mouth. The desperate wailing of the Jinlingzong disciple in its hand and the crunching sound of its mouth seemed to form a sad music, which made people creepy. Creak, creak. Finally, after a long, but actually very short time for the people of Jinlingzong, the monster finally arrived in front of Song Yu, who was about to collapse. It lifted its forefoot and gently smashed the long sword that Song Yu was swinging out of nowhere. At this time it was less than 1 meter away from Song Yu, and at this time the thin mysterious veil on the goat monster slowly faded, and Song Yu finally saw the true appearance of this monster. The densely dense coral-like antennae are divided into 2, which grow on both sides of its body to form something like 2 horns. Its torso is dark and full of bones like dried bacon. A large mouth full of sharp teeth runs through the middle of the torso from top to bottom, which looks like a huge zipper when you look closely. Its feet were dry and thin, and erected its tall body like gnawed pig bones. Song Yu stood there blankly, unable to move. The whole body of the goat shadow was distorted, covering the entire Jinlingzong, his forehead, cough. A few unspeakable voices came from it, and there was no head and mouth in the strict sense of the body, and the people of Jinlingzong didn't know. How does it make a sound? After getting acquainted with it, watched, Song Yu made a somewhat awkward but still understandable voice, who is the one who destroyed my race's arrangement in the Red Ridge Stone Forest. Qian Yuanzong, Li Fan. Song Yu said with dull eyes. Where are he and his lair? I don't know, but Qian Yuanzong is in the Barren Forest County southeast of the Kanglin region. The shadow of the goat groaned for a while, turned to face the southeast, paused for a moment, and then strode away. After a while, all the disciples of the Jinlingzong standing in the same place seemed to be drawn away from Hun and Po, and fell to the same place without a breath. After answering the monster, Song Yu also had dull eyes and lost his anger. The flames in the Jinlingzong grew bigger and bigger, and finally swallowed everything. Li Fan panted heavily, and in front of him was the figure of a young man whose chest was pierced. Almost died again. Li Fan thought about the thrilling scene just now with a lingering fear. If it weren't for the last moment he had deceived the young man's long-prepared sword with the price of an arm, and then used a little sword. He quickly beheaded, and now he is the one who fell. It's true that in this continuous battle, Li Fan has climbed to the 52nd Order Jade platform. At this time, his virtual illusion realm has also reached the out-of-aperture realm. This is the third realm after the foundation building realm. Although the realm on this and the stage is illusory, the cultivation technique operation root and inner mental method he obtained are truly recorded in his heart and will not be forgotten. Moreover, the difference in each realm and his feelings at breakthrough are also firmly in his heart, although the feelings he has obtained at the time of breakthrough may be different from what he has now. But this also gave him enough experience to prevent his eyes from being darkened when he explored his cultivation. And his actual combat experience is also ascension. I don't know how many grades, and his sword skills are becoming more and more exquisite. For him, this is extremely precious experience and wealth that can't be bought with more merit points. However, it is very difficult for him to obtain this wealth. On the 52 white jade stage behind him, except for the first 13th stage, he will be killed many times by the young man who fought against him on almost every jade stage behind him. It wasn't until his actual combat ability further improved that he had a chance to defeat that young man and reach a higher level. This is also fortunate that his guess at the time was correct. This is just an illusion, and it will be restored immediately after death. As for the number of times he died now, he himself can't remember clearly, 30 times or 40 times or 50 times. Li Fan shook his head and forgot. The feeling of death was too painful. Although it was an illusion, Li Fan felt that the feeling of death was very real. He didn't want to think about the feeling of torture anymore. He gritted his teeth and continued to climb towards the 53rd floor of the jade platform. He has lost too much time in this illusion, he is a little anxious, and his system can't call out in this space, which is equivalent to completely disconnecting from the outside world. This made him feel a little flustered. A new layer of realms operation, cultivation technique, realm ascension, fighting, death, and fighting again. Li Fan just kept struggling and climbing in this space. Although it was painful, he never thought about giving up. He wanted to perfect his spiritual path. He wanted to go higher. He wanted to live in this world. He has no retreat. In this way, a thin figure climbed step by step toward the endless white jade steps that seemed to connect the sky. 54th, 55, 56.64 th.77 th. As Li Fan continued to ascend the higher jade platform, this space continued to rise with a ray of colorful glow, which lingered in the sky and condensed into 3 colorful flowers. And the sky in this space also showed a pair of invisible eyes, quietly watching Li Fan on the jade platform. These huge invisible eyes showed a bit of value, a bit of hope, and a bit of sigh. Finally hidden in the sky. Li Fan, who was immersed in the battle, did not notice the changes in this space. He just kept moving forward. Time flies. Half a year later, Li Fan finally reached the 91st step. At this time, Li Fan's face was tough and solemn, as if nothing could stop him from moving forward. When he arrived at the 91st jade platform, Li Fan no longer heard the murmur from his ears, the spirit power in his body was not running, and the illusory realm did not climb anymore, even the company didn't know that way. The familiar figure that had killed him so many times did not appear. The road to the 100-story jade platform seems to have come to an end on the 91st floor. 41%. Chapter 109 Changes in the 10 Domains. Li Fan stood quietly on the jade platform without any movement, his expression stern. After more than half a year of continuous fighting, his emotions have become extremely tense, like a turbulent volcano about to erupt every moment, but now he himself has been forcibly suppressed. Once there is an opportunity, the massive negative emotions he has accumulated for a long time will burst out, destroying everything around him, and then destroying himself. So fortunately, this Bayutai was cut off at the beginning of the 91st floor, and there was no follow-up, otherwise even Li Fan himself would not know whether he could stick to it. After a while, the jade platform occupied by Li Fan slowly turned into nothingness and began to dissipate, and the entire space began to become transparent, shaking as if it was about to collapse at any time. Li Fan looked at the door formed by a spatial crack that appeared in front of him, felt the breath above it, raised his leg and stepped into it. At the same time, those invisible eyes reappeared in the space that was about to collapse, and a ray of fluorescence rushed to Li Fan from the sky and fell on him. Then the gap in the space slowly closed, and the invisible eyes in this space stared at the direction where Li Fan was leaving and let out a sigh. I didn't expect that the vicissitudes of life and my immortal way have fallen here. Is this your purpose? After sighing, the space was completely closed, and the huge eyes above the sky slowly dissipated. Come out. Li Fan scanned the surrounding environment. The ruins of ruined walls were gone, and the stone steel that led him into the jade platform was gone. He found that he was no longer in that space, and he didn't even seem to be in that ruin anymore. I don't know how long it has been. How is Qian Yuanzong now? Li Fan muttered to himself. Ding, ding, ding. Before he could think about it, a clanging system prompt sounded. Attention, urgent notice. Attention, urgent notice. Attention, urgent notice. Environmental abnormalities in the southern Moon Valley region of the star boundary, fog concentration ascension. Environmental anomaly in the Everling realm of the star realm, the concentration of fog as ascension. Environmental abnormalities in the eastern Dan region of the star telling realm, fog concentration ascension. A series of 10 system emergency notifications resounded in Li Fan's mind. He checked carefully and found that the news was sent just 3 days ago. The situation this time is the same as what Li Fan experienced in the Kinglan Red Ridge Stone Forest last time. The system also issued the same task, which is also the source of the concentration change caused by the fog in the current area. This situation is the same as the one I encountered in the Redridge Stone Forest last time. What happened in other places? Li Fan thought in his heart, and opened the rest of the news to check. Announcement of the whole system. The mission of star picking has failed. Announcement of the whole system. The task of Quanxi domain has failed. System-wide notice. The mission of the evil domain has failed. The whole system announces that the mission to seize the realm has failed. Announcement of the whole system. The mission of Chuan Ziyu has failed. These pieces of news are exactly what was newly announced today. 7 of the 10 domains failed. Li Fan was shocked when he saw the news. He knew very well how dangerous the situation he faced in the Redridge Stone Forest at the beginning, but he did not expect that 7 of the 10 areas would have failed. Li Fan didn't know what would happen if he failed, but according to the situation he saw in the Redridge Stone Forest, the misty soul that could quietly control the human body and soul, and the majestic thick mist. If an area is filled with a large number of invisible and strange fog souls and massive fogs, let alone how many people can solve the fog souls, it is said whether the dense fog will give birth to a lot of weirdness, or the place all the sleeping strangeness that was originally restricted in the area was awakened. If such a thing does happen, then that area is likely to become a dead area. Li Fan opened the world chat channel and glanced at it. At this time, the chat interface was swiped by the information in the 7 domains. Soul Spirit Realm has now been completely lost. I don't know what's going on there. When many sect cultivators there are fighting against the increasing number of weird ones that are gradually awakening, a large number of cultivators have appeared and betrayed where Sect is to the teachers and friends behind him. Things that are inverted. As a result, many sects in soul-seizing realm did not respond in time and were swallowed by the weird army. In just half a day, thousands of sects in soul-seizing realm were reduced to ashes. What the upstairs said is true. My sect is in the East Dan realm next to the soul domain. It has completely become a dead place, and there is no one left. But I know why the cultivator betrayed Sect over there. They were possessed and controlled by a nearly transparent weird creature named Mist Soul. Now other domains have found a way to fight against this Mist Soul. As long as you use magical items or spirit tools that can protect your own soul, you can avoid it, but that kind of treasure is too rare. After looking at it for a while, Li Fan found that it had not succeeded in destroying the area he had encountered last time where he could gather and store the foggy souls. Now it is in crisis. The sudden increase in the mist gave birth to many weirdness, and it also awakened many weirdness from their deep sleep, allowing them to move freely without being restricted by the region. These strange matches and fog souls launched an offensive against all local schools and cultivators. Many cultivator sects fell into a decline at the beginning because they had never seen something like fog soul that was fast, invisible, and capable of controlling people. Now the spiritual seizure domain among the 7 domains has been destroyed. According to the system cultivator of those 2 regions, the star-picking domain and the celestial evil domain have stabilized the situation and blocked those weird offensives because of the strong strength of the local indigenous sect. And they have already begun to counterattack, to remove all the mist souls, and destroy the strongholds that continuously create mist souls. However, the sect strength of the other 4 domains seems to be average, and it is already very difficult to resist strange attacks. Now they are seeking help from the big forces in the surrounding areas, and several 6th rank sects and 1 5th rank sect have already agreed to help. They also understand the truth of the death of lips and teeth. If the area around them becomes a weird nest, they will not be able to withstand the constant breeding of a large number of weirdness. Li Fan saw these news and roughly understood the current situation, and he also discovered that one thing was that the current time was only 7 days after he entered the ruins. It's not more than a year in his memory. It seems that the time flow in that illusion is not equal to that of the real world. Li Fan thought. He clearly remembered that he spent at least a year in the ruins in illusion. He spent 5 or 6 days on each jade platform. Listening to the cultivation technique coming from the ear, the cultivation base realm in the body, with the help of that jade platform, simulates the real practice situation for ascension, so as to reach the point of being comparable to the young figure realm on the jade platform where he is. Then add a lot of fighting. The 90-floor jade platform, he still missed a year. 42%. Chapter 110 3 Methods of Golden Core. Seeing that he hadn't lost too much time, Li Fan showed a slightly stiff smile and felt relieved. There is no way to stay in that illusion for more than a year and fight or be killed every day. He has been very heavy, and he has endured too many death tortures in his heart, and now he needs time to relax and adjust. Ding. Get the Celestial Soul Fairy Code. Achieving Pure Heart Judgment. Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and obtaining the Celestial Soul Arctic Fairy. Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and obtaining 7 Heart Calming Secret Art. Hearing the sounds of these 2 systems, Li Fan's face was shocked. What's the situation with these 2 cultivation techniques? He didn't remember that he had obtained these 2 cultivation techniques. Could it be the magical judgment that came from the ears of that jade platform? Li Fan quickly checked the Celestial Soul Arctic Immortal Code that he had obtained after a 100-fold increase. Sure enough, the content on this cultivation technique is the same as what I heard on the jade stage, but it's not right. The cultivation technique after a 100-fold increase is unreasonable and the same as before. Li Fan held the question in his heart, continued to look, and finally found the difference between the cultivation technique he got on the jade platform when he finally turned to the last volume of the fairy tale in his hand. Sky Soul Arctic Fairy. Transcends Tribulation. This cultivation technique, which was amplified by the 100-fold amplification system, has one more realm practice method than the cultivation technique he heard on the Jade Terrace, and that realm is the Transcends Tribulation realm. And this realm can be repaired to the extreme. Immortal Ascension. Li Fan looked at the fairy tale in his hand fascinatingly, yearning for that fairy realm, and after looking at it for a moment, he put away the fairy tale in his hand. This cultivation technique was his biggest gain when he came to the ruins this time, and his path of practice had a direction to move forward. According to the records of the Sky Soul Arctic Fairy Code, the foundation building realm I am now in is the second realm of this cultivation technique. After reaching the foundation building realm, the blood chi spirit power in my body has been transformed, and all have gone through a huge ascension. It can be said that it has completed an evolution of the life level, and has been separated from the mortal level after the foundation building, and it can be regarded as truly embarking on the road of spiritual practice. However, after Li Fan thought of the record of this cultivation technique, he had some worries in his heart. This cultivation technique seems a bit too difficult. According to the above description of the fairy tale, it takes 3 years to dive in the misty treasure land of the spiritual chi to enter the second floor from the first floor of the foundation building. And to reach the next realm gold core from the foundation building realm, it takes 50 years of cultivation, and it also needs a kind of pill condensation treasure as an aid. There are 3 ways to assist the cultivator to condense the gold core. The first is to put the spirit power accumulated in the body through refining and painstaking practice in the Dantian Purple Mansion, and condense it continuously until it turns from a liquid into a solid. The formation of a natal inner pill belonging to own is also a qualitative change. However, the gold core, which is purely based on its own spirit power and perseverance, belongs to the most common and ordinary among the 3 methods. It belongs to the ordinary gold core, and it is ordinary without any special attributes. The second method is to find a large number of treasures of heaven and earth and then use the talented bloodline of a powerful demonic beasts as the lead to refine a bloodline spirit pill. If the cultivator condenses the breakthrough gold core realm and swallows this pill at the same time, it can use the power of the bloodline spirit pill to integrate the bloodline talent of the demonic beasts into itself, so that the condensed gold core can carry the talent of the demonic beast's power. This is the local product gold core. Of course, the talents of demonic beasts are diverse and divided into strong and weak. For example, there are many demonic beasts who are good at controlling various flames. Take several well-known demonic beasts, such as Dudu, three-legged golden crow, Huafang, etc. If the bloodline of demonic beasts you use to refine the bloodline spirit pill is Ududo, then you swallow the condensed spirit pill. The gold core may have the talent Offbro fire. It is not afraid of ordinary flames burning, but can also eat flames to achieve the effect of devouring flames and powerful themselves. Another example is Huafang. If you get the talent of the fire and phoenix line, your fire controlling power will be greatly enhanced, which is many times stronger than that of the bloodline of Miso-Do. And if you can practice these talents to the extreme, you can even be reborn from the ashes. Even if you are seriously injured, there is a chance for Nirvana to be reborn. Of course, whether Nirvana can be reborn is another matter. There are countless types of demonic beasts, and their bloodline talents are also different. For example, some talents can lighten one's own ascension speed, some enhance their own blood chi power and physique, and some can control water and fire, or control thunder and lightning. But without exception, the blood essence of demonic beasts is used to refine the blood essence of the powerful demonic beasts. After the cultivator obtains the blood talent of this powerful demonic beasts, the gold core condensed is naturally stronger. But there are 2 points. First, the powerful demonic beasts are not fools. It is impossible to stand stupidly and let you kill. What's more, if you are in a small foundation building environment, you dare to fight the idea of demonic beasts with very powerful bloodline talent. Realm with strength above gold core and even nascent soul. You can't beat the demonic beasts when you go up. At most, you can give the demonic beasts a snack. Unless you have a powerful cultivator behind you to help you catch these demonic beasts and pill refining them for you. Second, everyone's spirit power attributes and physique are also different. Some people can withstand the blood power of the powerful demonic beasts, and they are also very compatible. Then they can successfully obtain the demonic after swallowing the blood spirit pill. The talent of beasts. However, some cultivators are not suitable for this kind of talent of demonic beasts. It is possible to catch 10 demonic beasts to make 10 spirit pills, and let him swallow them all, and it is impossible to obtain this kind of talent that is not suitable for him. Taking too many bloodline spirit pills that do not fit oneself, and on the contrary may damage one's own foundation due to incompatibility of attributes, resulting in hopelessness of the gold core in this life. So this method is too cumbersome. You need to find a relatively powerful one that suits your own attributes, and also your favorite talent attributes. It is difficult to meet these 3 points. It is necessary to grab a large number of demonic beasts to extract blood essence and refine medicine pill to try one by one and find the most suitable for own. The second is that the price is too high. In addition to the whole body blood essence extracted by demonic beasts, the refining of the bloodline spirit pill also requires a variety of cherished elixir. The resources consumed by the cost of refining a bloodline spirit pill are enough to cultivate 10 foundation building realms. Therefore, those who use this method to condense the gold core can only be achieved by extremely financially strong forces. Of course, Li Fan can also use this method to condense gold core. He has a 100-fold amplification system in his hand, and he can exchange merits for various treasures through the Star Palace. Whether it is cherishing the elixir or demonic beast's blood essence, he can find it. But Li Fan changed his mind and didn't intend to take the path of condensing Dedan. What he values is the last method, the heavenly pill method. 42%. Chapter 111. The heavenly pill method is a kind of supplemented by 100 kinds of immortal herbs, focusing on one's own body, spirit and spirit power, placing oneself in a place of extreme fire, and using pill refining to stimulate one's own potential way out. The purpose of this method is to stimulate the cultivator's own talents. Everything in the world has its own spirituality and talents, and humans are the same. If the talent that exists in the human body can be stimulated, this kind of talent is the most suitable for own and the most powerful. Because one's own talent can grow with one's realm, unlike the demonic beast's talent that can be swallowed by drawing demonic beast's blood essence, that kind of talent is immutable. What is the talent of the demonic beasts you draw, and what is the ability you get? No matter how high your cultivation base is in the future, the talent will not change or increase. Although if luck is integrated into the demonic beast's talent that fits you and has a strong talent, it is indeed dominant when the realm is low, and the power will be stronger than the talent inspired by the cultivator itself. But when it comes to the late-stage cultivator that activates your own talent, your real talent is getting stronger and stronger, and you stop moving forward. Then the talents you gained in the gold core realm are completely useless, and here is the gap opened by the earth pill cultivator and the heaven pill cultivator in the late stage. And the most important point is that Li Fan saw that in the gold core chapter of the celestial soul Arctic fairy, only the cultivator who polishes each realm to the peak and perfect foundation has the opportunity to go to the transcends tribulation behind. Farther. This immediately strengthened Li Fan's determination to follow the heavenly pill method when he gathers gold core in the future. I also want to prepare for later practice. In the land of extreme fire, there are also hundreds of elixir and immortal herbs that I have to find a way to collect first, and prepare for the future. Li Fan thought in his heart. Li Fan, who sorted out his own follow-up practice ideas, heard the voice of the Jade Talisman in the private chat with the system, and opened it to check the message he received. Damn it. After reading the system's private chat messages and the news on the Jade Talisman, Li Fan's face was green, and his murderous aura and anger came out to the extreme. The majestic spirit power violently ripped several innate realms quietly gathered around to shreds. When he saw the news that Song Yu passed to him, he already understood the cause and effect. It should have been the formation of the mist soul that caused the fog to affect the concentration of the fog in the Kanglan region last time they destroyed the Redridge Stone Forest, which caused terror. The news was 4 days ago. Li Fan just wanted to restore Song Yu, but seeing that Song Yu's system avatar had dimmed, Song Yu had suffered an accident. Jin Lingzong should be gone. The severity of the matter is more than that. Cultivators from blue stars like them have a system, so they can communicate through the chat function of the system, but he does not have such a convenient way of communication with his disciples under Qianyuan Sect. Therefore, Li Fan recently spent some merit points to purchase a method of refining the Jade Amulet in order to facilitate him to keep abreast of the situation in Sect when he was out, and to avoid unknown dangers in time. Now he and Qian Yuanzong can rely on this kind of communication Jade Talisman to contact. He also received news from Qian Yuanzong's disciples Ren Guan and Fu Bingyiang. Sect leader, the situation outside Qian Yuanzong has changed. Disciple guarding inside the gate found a terrifying goat-shaped monster 50 miles away. Its direction is Qian Yuanzong. We have sent disciples to monitor its trajectory. Before he enters the Qian Yuanzong area, he will be intercepted and killed, especially for the sect leader. Sect leader, the monster's trajectory has not changed. It has entered the 20-mile range of our Qian Yuanzong. I have sent my disciples to try to guide him to change the direction. If necessary, he will intercept and kill. There is one more thing I want to ask Sect leader, when are you coming back? Sect leader, the target of that monster is our Qian Yuanzong. The previous plan to guide him to change the direction of travel has failed. The 20 disciples who went to intercept and kill the monster have never survived. Including a disciple of the aperture level realm failed to send back the slightest message. The monster's strength is too powerful. I am afraid that it is not our enemy. I blamed me for not being able to accurately estimate the strength of the monster. The 20 fellow students died in vain. When Sect leader comes back, I will ask Sect leader to confess the crime. Now I have discussed with Fu Sect leader and decided to shrink all the disciples back to Sect. With Sect's large array of resistance, Shuzong can't get out. Sect leader, what's your current situation? Qian Yuanzong's situation is in crisis, please come back quickly. My lord, the situation in the subordinate Fu Bingyiang's clan is at stake. Please see the news and reply quickly. The monster has reached the Qian Yuanzong's Great Formation, and the Great Formation can't stop him at all. Ren Guan led 10 disciples in the school to think about it. To lead it away. This is the end of Li Fan's hand about the Jade Talisman message. This last message was sent to him by Fu Bingyiang, and the time of this message was sent to Li Fan. Li Fan could not determine the time of the message. The Jade Talisman could only receive the message and could not record the specific time. So he doesn't know how long it has been since this happened to Qian Yuanzong, and how the situation is, but according to his estimation, the time should also be between yesterday and today. In the system, he received Song Yu's news 4 days ago. Based on this situation, it is inferred that the monster in their mouth must also be Qian Yuanzong who arrived after Song Yu's message. Li Fan quickly replied to the inquiry after seeing the news, wanting to understand the current situation in Qian Yuanzong, but unfortunately the news fell to the sea and did not get a reply for a long time. However, at this time, Li Fan's 1,000 miles shuttle talisman is already sufficient. Spirit power is in the activated state. Li Fan must hurry back to Qian Yuanzong to deal with this crisis. In Qianyuanzong, the territory of the inner clan where the fog of the surrounding mountains and forests had been cleared for 30 miles, the sun was scattered, and the fragrance of birds and flowers were restored to life. Now it is silent. The sun, which originally penetrated the thin clouds in the sky and sprinkled the soft sunlight, is now covered again by a thicker, more turbid and airtight mist. The area of Qian Yuanzong without the sun's rays became a little gloomy, as if there was a downpour that would fall from the gloomy thick fog. A breeze blew in and messed up Fu Bingying's beautiful hair, standing outside the great hall of Qian Yuanzong. Fu Bingying's face was cold. She looked at the cracks in the light blue Sect array that enveloped the entire Qian Yuanzong. Her heart was cold. Qian Yuanzong's Taiyan Kimen array resisted many of these crises for Qian Yuanzong, allowing him to survive countless dangers to develop to the current 5th rank sect. But now it has always seemed impossible to destroy the extremely tough Taiyan Strange Gate array. It is now full of cracks, and the entire array is crumbling, just like the overcast Qian Yuanzong now, as if it will collapse and fall at any time. 43%. Chapter 112 Abandon Qian Yuanzong. When time returned to an hour ago, more than 2,000 sect disciples from Qianyuan sect gathered in the great hall of the sect densely, and there was a lot of discussion. Qian Yuanzong's only disciple of sect Cold Water sect, looked worriedly at their sect leader Fu Bingying, Ren Guan and Heng Qing in the great hall. One of the female disciples of the Cold Water sect with a firm face and a bit of heroic aura, was pushed in front of her by the people behind her. Her face was a bit tangled, but she immediately spoke with a decisive expression. Sect leader, Senior Brother Ren, Senior Brother Heng, Master Sect leader hasn't responded yet. Now the goat-shaped monster outside the sect is still 10 miles away from sect. Although sect's patrolling disciples outside have already obeyed the order to evacuate to the inside of the sect, there are still more than a dozen seniors who were watched by the monster before they could retreat and died at the hands of the monster. Before, there were 20 fellows who were killed in order to stop the monster. These fellows even had masters on the 7th floor of the Aperture Realm, but they were still not the enemy of the monster's one strike. The difference between us and the monster was too great. It's impossible to be its opponent at all. Fu Bingying looked tangled, opened her mouth to speak, but still did not speak. Next to Fu Bingying, there was a young man with dark skin and a tall figure of nearly 1.9 meters, with bulging muscles, but with a tender face that did not match the tall figure. This young man's expression is calm. His calm eyes hide his sharp edge. This person is Ren Guan. After Ren Guan came here from Li Fan to take over Qian Yuanzong, he changed a lot. In less than 4 months, he changed from a black and thin young man with a bad influence like a bamboo pole to a strong man who is now a big horse. Realm has also reached the 9th level pinnacle of the current Tongqiao realm from body refining, and can be promoted to the Quanli realm by only waiting for the acupoints in the body to be associated. Ren Guaning used to be the most easily bullied in the clan, and was always afraid of lack of clothing and food to practice hopelessly. Now Realm Ascension quickly takes over the position of the clan, all because of Li Fan's initial help and appreciation. Ren Guan always remembered this, and he was deeply grateful and loyal to Li Fan. Therefore, if Li Fan is not in Qian Yuanzong, he must guard this Qian Yuanzong for Li Fan, so that no one or strange threats will affect the safety of Qian Yuanzong. He had a gentle expression, but his eyes looked at the female disciple of the Cold Water sect who had just spoken with a sense of pressure, and said lightly. Sect leader did not reply to the news. What do you want to say? The female disciple of the Cold Water sect, who was somewhat heroic, looked at Ren Guan's eyes. Her heartbeat speeded up a little, and her heart was a little flustered. In Qian Yuanzong, Li Fan generally arranged the general direction of Qian Yuanzong's affairs, and let Ren Guan take care of the rest. So these ordinary disciples often don't see Li Fan, but they do see Ren Guan often and are very familiar with it. Ren Guan, this person is usually very serious and rigid, and never overwhelmed Li Fan's requirements and arrangements. He just carefully and strictly completed everything that Li Fan explained to him. However, because of his serious and rigid character, some people of Qian Yuanzong were very dissatisfied with him. Just like some time ago, after Qian Yuanzong wiped out such forces as the 3 sect alliance of the Chasing Sun Palace, he accepted many new disciples. Because these disciples had newly joined the Qian Yuanzong, who was still the enemy of Sect before, they felt a little uneasy. Worrying about being squeezed out and suppressed after coming to Sect, they will take out some spirit stones, resources to supply the old disciples of Qian Yuanzong, and some inner disciple with a bit of qualifications and real power. Of course, Ren Guan is also included here. But after Ren Guan found out about this, he returned all the spirit stones and money that he had handed him back. Not only that, he also asked other people who had received the benefits to return all the proceeds. He also said, there is no such thing in Qianyuanzong, and there is no nepotism. All colleagues are treated equally. If such a thing happens again in the future, I will report to sect leader, and those who give or receive gifts will be severely punished. Quote. Hearing what he said, these new entrants to the Sun Palace were happier at the time, and the disciples of the Sun Palace were not very wealthy and did not accumulate many family backgrounds. Normally, the resources for their own practice are tightly inadequate. This time they can save this resource without worrying about being suppressed. Of course, they are extremely happy. However, Ren Guan's move touched the interests of other people in Qian Yuanzong who received the enshrined resources. The spirit stones and resources they had gotten were gone. They were all very dissatisfied with Ren Guan, a nosy person. What is there to say about this kind of thing? Isn't it a hidden rule that everyone knows? How come there is so much shit when I get to him? Although Li Fan once said in the clan, Qian Yuanzong did not allow such things to happen to maintain the style, and let the two hall masters Ren Guan and Hengqing supervise. But if you don't talk about this kind of thing, sect leader won't know, so what if we get some benefits? However, whatever Li Fan asks, he must be meticulous. And there is more than one such thing. Anytime Ren Guan finds that someone in the clan is slack, cut corners, be lazy, etc. when performing sect tasks, he will warn him that he will report to Li Fan for punishment the second time. Therefore, a large number of people in sect, those who can clearly enjoy special power and convenience, hate Ren Guan very much, and his popularity is also very poor. At this moment, looking at Ren Guan, who is usually very serious, had such a terrifying eyes, the female disciple was naturally a little scared in her heart. The female disciple squatted and said, Ren, Hall Master, since Lord Sect Leader has not returned, the monster is not something we can stop, let's retreat first. Hearing her words, most of the disciples in Sect, Qianyuanzong inner disciple, Wuyongzong joined, Chasing Sun Palace joined, and most of the disciples of Hanshaozong looked at Ren Guan with expectant eyes. Hope to get a satisfactory answer. Fu Bingying also turned her head and glanced at Ren Guan. In her heart, she also hoped that Qian Yuanzong would be abandoned first, so that the disciples in the clan and her cold water sect could evacuate. After all, the monster's aura was too terrifying, and her strength was unfathomable. She didn't want her cold water school disciple to die in vain. It's better to retreat and wait until Li Fan comes back before discussing the long-term plan. Ren Guan glanced around, and naturally saw the fear and panic of most people in Sect, with a somewhat expectant look in their eyes. He understood what everyone in the clan meant. Facing the seemingly invincible enemy outside Sect, no one wanted to die in vain. Everyone just wanted to live, which of course was right. However, Ren Guan watched how many tribulations and crises Qian Yuanzong went through step by step before he developed from the 9th rank sect to the 5th rank sect. This was the joint efforts and painstaking efforts of many people in Qian Yuanzong and Li Fan. If everyone evacuated and let the monster enter Qianyuanzong, once the core foundation in Sect damaged the entire Qianyuanzong for so long, all efforts would be wasted. Sect Qi luck will also dissipate, and then Qian Yuanzong will be removed and dissipated. 43%. Chapter 113. It is not a simple matter to dissipate the luck of Sect. What is the purpose of each sect continuously ascension? For the sake of Sect air luck is the core of a sect. As a sect grade is raised, the air luck of this sect will become stronger and stronger. The enhancement of Qi luck will get more shelter from heavenly Tao. The higher the grade of a sect, the spiritual Qi in the sect will become stronger and stronger, and the Taoist rhyme within the sect will become stronger and stronger. These two things are essential for a sect. Vital. Needless to say, the richness of spiritual Qi can make disciples in the sect practice faster and get twice the result with half the effort, while Dao Yun can ascension disciples' comprehension and make the cultivator understand what they have learned faster. Reduce the chance of the cultivator falling into the bottleneck and make it easier to break through. In addition, the more important thing is that the higher the grade sect gets, the more heavenly Tao refuge. Heavenly Dao Refuge can have several times the chance of surviving when Sect faces weird riots and weird tides. Just like facing the weird tide once a year, the dangers faced by a 5th rank sect and a 9th rank sect are different. The number of weirdness caused by the weird tide is like a large ocean. A drop of seawater is a terrifying weirdness, and how many drops of seawater are there in a vast ocean? There are simply too many to count. The Heavenly Dao shelter obtained by the 5th rank sect allows this sect to hide the breath of Sect in the face of infinite weirdness, and there will be a faint Heavenly Dao pressure. The weirdness of attacking the 5th rank sect is just a scoop of water in this weird ocean. Or it's just a stream. But that 9th rank sect couldn't get half of Heavenly Dao's protection, it would face a whole ocean, and it would definitely die. This world is where the strong are always strong, and the weak are always weak. No, the weak can't survive at all, and they will be wiped out by infinite weirdness. Sect's air luck is condensed in the veins of Sect, covering every building and every disciple in Sect. If all of Sect's disciples flee, Sect's large formations, spiritual veins, ground veins, and buildings will be destroyed again, and Qian Yuanzong's luck will naturally dissipate. It is now less than 3 months before the next weird tide. If they give up Qian Yuanzong and escape, although they can live for a while, they will wait for the weird tide 3 months later. Can Qian Yuanzong recover in such a short time? When the time comes, they will be sad to face the weird tide, Ren Kering sighed. And Sect leader told him before he left, let him take care of Qian Yuanzong. If Sect leader came back and saw Qian Yuanzong turned into a ruin, how could he have the face to face Sect leader if he had been burned for so long? Thinking of this, Ren Guan's eyes became firm. Qian Yuanzong couldn't be lost, not only to fulfill his promise to Sect leader, but also to survive for everyone. Does this mean everyone? Ren Guan asked. Everyone in the Great Hall did not speak, but still looked at Ren Guan quietly. Some of them clenched their fists and wanted to speak. Some of them were caught by the same door and others. Some of the new disciples who joined Qian Yuanzong from the Tuo family took a look at their wives and children beside them. Although they were unwilling to face them, they remained silent. These people are silent, which is equivalent to expressing their stance in silence. Some of these people are nervous, some are ashamed, and some are looking at Renguan in the temple with disgusting and angry eyes. Some of them were afraid that Renguan would disagree with their idea of running away, while others wanted to defend Qian Yuanzong to the death, but their friends' wives and children extinguished the fire in their hearts. Others simply don't understand why Renguan still doesn't speak. Is it because they want them to be buried with him for this sect? This man has always been so selfish. The disciples with disgust and anger in their eyes thought in their hearts. In the past, they often prevented them from pursuing their own personal gain, and strictly investigated those who used power for personal gain, and privately embezzled sect's resources, and cut off their financial avenues. Now they want to block their way of life. They have been dissatisfied with Renguan to the extreme. If it weren't for Li Fan, although he was not there, he had accumulated prestige for a long time, and the strength of Renguan was amazing. They all wanted to deal with it now. Many people in Sect also began to talk quietly. It was his idea just now. He had to send someone to test the monster's strength, and he wanted to kill the monster. As a result, 20 fellow students were sent to death in vain. I think he was just trying to give him credit, showing his face in front of Sect leader for his own benefit. This kind of person is really disgusting. Selfishness will flatter, and now we still want to use our lives to do him merit. Renguan did not stand up and accuse everyone of wanting to flee like what everyone imagined, nor did he say that everyone would guard Qian Yuanzong. Renguan cleared his throat, and the entire Great Hall became quiet for an instant. Although many people whispered about their dissatisfaction with Renguan, more than half of them still admire Renguan as a person, although they do not agree with Renguan in their hearts. Some of the practices, but it does not affect their admiration for this kind of people dedicated to Sect. And they didn't dare really quarrel with Renguan face to face. The people in Renguan and his Dantang, as well as the people in Hengqing and his refining hall, were all powerful inner disciples, which were not easy to provoke. There was a trace of fatigue in Renguan's eyes, and he said in a deep voice, I understand everyone's mood and thoughts, and I never thought of blocking everyone's life and letting the previous colleagues die in vain. However, I did make a mistake in my judgment just now. I will make this mistake. Make up. But we still have to wait for the evacuation. Hearing Renguan's words, everyone in the Great Hall was talking again, expressing their dissatisfaction. Renguan didn't care, and continued. Sect leader has already replied to me just now, saying that he will be back soon, so don't worry. What? Sect leader is finally coming back. Great. Sect leader will be saved when we come back. Great. When will sect leader come back? Let's meet sect leader at Sect. Fu Bingying and Heng Qing also looked at Ren Guan with surprise. Sect leader really? Before they finished speaking, they saw Ren Guan's eyes that didn't show the slightest joy. Ren Guan gently shook his head at them, causing their hearts to sink again. Ren Guan did not answer everyone's questions, but continued. What we have to do now is to guard Qian Yuanzong and wait for sect leader to return to the sect with peace of mind. You don't want to see Qian Yuanzong being destroyed when sect leader returns. The situation. Hearing Ren Guan's words, everyone in the hall fell silent, their faces blushing. They hadn't waited until Li Fan returned to the sect before they had the idea of giving up Qian Yuanzong and fleeing. Now that I know that Li Fan will be back soon, I dare not to mention the matter again. After all, most of the people were conquered by Li Fan after his clan was destroyed. They have seen Li Fan's fierce means and tyrannical strength. If Li Fan knew that they had escaped, they would probably. Thinking of what might happen, everyone calmed down. Ren Guan faintly pulled out an ugly smile, and continued. Although sect leader will be back soon, we can't see the monster destroying the big formation and attacking the sect. The clan has been ruined and we can't explain it to sect leader. No, I plan to organize a 10-person team to distract the monster. Who of you is willing to go with me? When everyone listened to this, you looked at me and I looked at you. They all bowed their heads and said nothing. Now that they know Li Fan will be back soon, naturally no one wants to do this kind of obvious death. It's the same even if Ren Guan leads the team. Seeing the silent scene in front of him, Ren Guan also fell silent. But after a while, many voices sounded, making Ren Guan's face still a little smile. Hall Master Ren, I am willing to work with the Hall Master to divert the monster away. I am willing, too. And I, Lao Lu, what are you squeezing? Your ability to raise the dirty realm dare to fight with me, and I will go to the Hall Master. 43%. Chapter 114. Ren Guan quickly selected the remaining 9 people to go out with him. Many people who raised their hands to sign up saw that Ren Guan election was full of people, and they were a little disappointed, but there was no way that their realm was too low. This action is very important, and it is also a burden for people who are not in the aperture clearance realm to go, even if it is not to fight the monster head-on, but it must have enough self-protection power and speed. Otherwise, he would be killed by that weird move when he just went out and didn't even run 2 steps. Although Ren Guan chose people of the middle and upper levels in the sect, and realm was at least a cultivator at the 3rd level or above in the aperture realm, Ren Guan still held a very pessimistic attitude towards this action. To put it bluntly, the monster outside Qian Yuanzong's strength realm, they didn't understand at all. They only knew that the cultivator of the aperture level realm also died in the hands of that monster. Ren Guan estimated that even the sect formation could not stop the monster, and it would not last long. Obviously it is not something they can contend with those who have not reached the innate realm or the innate realm. Therefore, when Ren Guan went out this time, he also reported his mortal determination, as long as it can be delayed, I hope sect leader can come back soon. Ren Guan pursed his lips and sighed in his heart. Ren Guan glanced in front of him, and decided to lead the same door of the monster outside the clan with him. With apologetic eyes in his eyes, he opened his mouth and wanted to say something. Hall Master, you said that after sect leader comes back and sees us taking away the monster outside Qianyuanzong to protect the inside, will you reward us with more contribution points? Yeah, I am greedy for the Hall Master. Your powerful body tempering method has been for a long time. I remember that your physical body was not so powerful before. Did sect leader teach you the secret method of body tempering, or give you something? Heavenly and mortal treasures of body tempering. I will also ask sect leader to give me a whole one when I come back this time. I still prefer body training to the practice. A big bald man touched his bright head and said naively. Upon hearing this bald man's words, several other people also booed. Yes, when sect leader comes back, we have to give us a whole one. We need any genius, treasure, and powerful technique. Several people joked, clamoring to ask Li Fan for more treasures and cultivation technique, while watching Ren Guan reluctantly smiled. Ren Guan looked at the 9 people in front of him with a smile, but their eyes were red, and he understood what they meant, and didn't say any discouraging words. Okay, don't worry, when sect leader comes back, I will ask you for your work, and I will guarantee that you will not run out of spirit stones and eat any spirit pills at that time. Ren Guan said loudly. Good, then we can just believe what the Hall Master said. Ha ha, the 9 people booed. Ren Guan, I'll be with you. Hengqing frowned and said with worry in his eyes. But before he could finish his words, Ren Guan looked at his eyes and shook his head, using secret methods to transmit the voice. Sect leader doesn't know when he will come back. People in the clan are unstable. I think Fu Bingying's attitude is also ambiguous and swaying. Uncertain. If there is a real catastrophe, one person will still be needed in the sect. If you are not there, I can't rest assured. Don't worry, I will only try to deal with the monster when I go out this time. If things don't work, we will retreat. What you have to do is to stabilize the hearts of these people in the sect. Of course, if there is an overwhelming danger, you will take these people in the sect and leave Qianyuanzong. As long as people are not dead, there is always a chance. Hengqing quietly listened to Ren Guan's words, squeezed his fist, and the emotions in his heart surged. In the end, the clenched fist was loosened weakly, and only replied, okay. Single quote. Hengqing knew what Ren Guan meant. Although Qianyuanzong has developed rapidly in the past few months, after all, it has absorbed too many disciples from outside the sect. This is also an unsolvable shortcoming of Qianyuanzong at present. The Wanglin County where Qianyuanzong is located is sparsely populated. It is too difficult to recruit disciples, and it is really helpless to absorb these disciples who were originally hostile to sect. Ren Guan patted Hengqing on the shoulder next to him, and smiled. Your kid has always liked to compare this to me. I go first. After speaking, she took a deep look at Fu Bingying, who was looking uncertain. Fu Bingying, who didn't know where he had flown, was startled when she saw Ren Guan's eyes. Those eyes were too big, and she seemed to kill her with a hint of killing intent. She looked at Ren Guan in a panic. Hall Master Ren, don't worry, we will definitely guard Qianyuanzong, and wait for the triumphant victory of Hall Master Ren to catch the wind. Ren Guan smiled and did not reply. Instead, he looked at the 9 people in front of him and said loudly, brothers, let me go with me. The chance to get ahead is at this moment. Sect leader will not be stingy when this matter is over. Reward. Ren Guan and his party galloped out of the gate of Qianyuanzong's mountain, gathered together and galloped in the opposite direction of the monster. The goat shadow monster felt a few tiny breaths and fleas in the opposite direction, and the huge cracked teeth that pierced through the entire torso silently opened and closed. A few little bugs, just struggling to death. Don't even try to run away, any of you little bugs. Cecil opened his mouth with sharp teeth, and the infinite gray fog completely enveloped the entire Qianyuanzong. The gray fog was different from ordinary fog. The gray mist released by Cecil touched Qianyuanzong's Taiyan Kimen formation, as if sulfuric acid was poured on the skin, making a corroding sound. The larger ray, which has always seemed indestructible, began to flicker, and the spirit stones that maintained the operation of the Taiyan strange gate array were consumed in a large amount. However, in a minute, the spirit power in 100 spirit stones was drawn out and turned into powder. After setting up the gray fog, Cecil hurriedly chased in the direction of Ren Guan and others who were fleeing quickly. Li Fan looked at the fully activated Wanli shuttle talisman, which was full of spirit power and exuded strong fluctuations, his expression suppressed and silent. The 1,000 miles shuttle talisman has expired. Li Fan was full of doubts because he didn't know where this place was and how far it was from Qianyuanzong. So he used more than 500,000 spirit stones on his body to charge the 1,000 miles shuttle to the maximum saturation. It stands to reason that this huge spirit power is enough for him to travel a distance of 500,000 miles. But now, the 1,000 miles shuttle talisman filled with spirit power's violent fluctuations did not move. Is it possible that this place is far more than 500,000 miles away from Qianyuanzong? Li Fan's heart sank, and a bad premonition emerged. If this is the case, even the Wanli shuttle talisman will not allow him to return to the sect quickly, so is there any way he can quickly return to Qianyuanzong? 44%. Chapter 115. Space Array. There must be a way. By the way, that ruin sent me here. If I can find that ruin or find a way to bring me here. Li Fan's eyes flashed, and he hurriedly searched for the trace of the ruin around him. How could there be no trace at all? Li Fan frowned, looking at the stone disc in his hand that was already covered with cracks that seemed to shatter at any time. This stone plate became like this after he used it to open the gate of the ruins, and the aura of the same source on it disappeared, and even the solid plate itself seemed to have exhausted all the energy. Turn into ordinary. Li Fan wanted to rely on this stone plate to find the whereabouts of the ruins that brought him to this place, but the ruins disappeared without a trace after he came out. Not even a trace was left, as if it had never appeared before. This situation makes Li Fan very disappointed. The stagnation and blurring of consciousness that I felt just now after entering the ruins seemed to be the effect of formation. Li Fan slapped his head suddenly, and suddenly remembered this. At that time, he didn't think too much. His mind was completely attracted by the ruins in front of him, and he didn't explore this point carefully. But now calm down and think about it. When he explored the entire ruins with the sacred pupil, he could indeed feel a breath of spatial fluctuations that had just calmed down. This breath is likely to be the function of a certain formation in that ruin, a large formation that can shuttle through space. Thinking of this, Li Fan didn't hesitate. Now that he had a direction, he knew where to find it. With a turn of his consciousness, he came to the vast starry sky palace. Li Fan went straight to the bookshelf in the formation area. Since there is such a large formation that can teleport the entire huge place tens of millions of miles away, then he should also be found in this starry sky palace. The ruins can be arranged for this large formation, so he can also lay it with the assistance of the system, and with the time, can he quickly rush back to Qian Yuanzong with this large formation. Li Fan's eyes kept sweeping across the mass of light floating in front of him. Fixed point teleportation array. Set up an array base in 2 places, fill in enough spirit stones as a source of energy, and you can freely shuttle between the 2 places. Not this, Li Fan murmured. Random teleportation array, small, smash the base of this small magic array, and the power of the space it carries can teleport people within a radius of thousands of miles. 5 element space array. Use the power of 5 elements from heaven and earth, and borrow the power of space to form a space that isolates heaven and earth. Wanfa does not invade, punish evil and ward off change. Li Fan quickly scanned the formation map about the power of space in front of him, but he still couldn't find a large formation that could be accurately orientated enough to transport it back to the designated location across millions of miles. There is really no way. Li Fan didn't know what kind of formation was used in that ruin, and he couldn't tell the name of the formation feature. You can only find it by yourself within the approximate range. And after watching so many formations about the power of space, Li Fan's heart is also a mess. He is now not sure whether the formation laid in that ruin is the kind he was looking for. God knows whether that ruin sent him here directional or random. Fortunately, Li Fan now has his own goal in mind after watching so many big arrays. That is, it must meet the requirements of a long-distance, large-scale array that has the power of transmission, can determine an accurate position, and does not need to arrange the anchor position of the lower array in another place. But this kind of large array is really hard to find, and the effect of a large array that satisfies the following conditions is simply too heaven-defying. Long distance, accurate directional transmission. A large array that satisfies these 2 points is enough to serve as a powerful sect, or a strategic reserve of a region's forces. In particular, there is no need to lay out the formation bases to determine the location and orientation of the space in the 2 places. If there is a large formation that can do it, wouldn't it be possible to go wherever you want? If you use this kind of big formation to start a war, you can send it directly to the enemy's nest without knowing it. How is this possible? However, Li Fan has no other choice at the moment. According to the information he received, the people who deployed the means in the Redridge Stone Forest have discovered them, and are now preparing to remove all of them, the cultivator that undermined his plan. And Song Yu has been killed. I thought that he had explored the secret realm with Song Yu not long ago, and found the secret realm that contained magical powers, allowing him to cultivate the powerful magical powers of Qianyuan shrunk. But not long after, Song Yu, who had some friendship with him, had died in the hands of the monster who came to them for revenge. And Qian Yuanzong is also being spotted now. The monster has come outside Qian Yuanzong sect. Li Fan can't imagine whether his great Taiyan Kimin array under the Zongnei can block the monster. After all, that great formation can only completely withstand attacks under the Dao realm. Although Qian Yuanzong has been promoted several times, the Taiyan Kimin formation in the sect has been nourished by heavenly Dao fortune many times, and the power of the great formation is also ascension. It's a lot. It has the meaning of breakthrough to 5th rank. But if the monster's strength is unknown to him, he dare not pin the hope of the whole family's disciples' life on a big formation. He didn't have time to slowly determine his position, and hurried back a little bit. Suddenly, Li Fan's eyes flashed with an extremely rich, huge, radiant light cluster. First rank large array, mediating the universe teleportation array one time. Turn the universe upside down, mediate good fortune, what you can think of, you can reach thousands of miles in a flash note. The magic circle is a one-time magic circle, and the formation is broken after one use. This formation requires great strength for the cultivator's physical body and has a deep understanding of the power of space. If the physical body is not strong enough to use this magic array to teleport, it is very likely to be torn the physical body by the powerful space power and annihilated. And a cultivator that lacks spatial understanding and mastery will fall into the eternal spatial turbulence and be lost in it forever. Exchange price: 500,000 heavenly Dao merit. Li Fan's eyes lit up. This magic circle fully meets the requirements he needs, but the cultivator is required to have a strong physical body, and it needs to have a sufficient understanding of the power of space. Li Fan looked at the array that exuded the power of the space, and fell into contemplation. It's better to say that the physical body is strong. Although I don't know how strong the physical body is defined by this magic circle, I can bear it. But you can still give it a try, but I have a deep understanding of the power of space. Li Fan clenched his fist. But I have not dabbled in the concept of space power before. Eternally lost in the spatial turbulence. Thinking of this terrifying description, Li Fan got goosebumps on his body, although he didn't quite understand what spatial turbulence was. But the word eternally lost gave him a bad feeling. Will it die? 44%. Chapter 116. Asking the state of mind. Li Fan's complexion changed. He was wondering if he should take such a big risk. As a person with 2 systems plus body support, Li Fan understands that as long as he does not go to death and develop with peace of mind, there is no need for him to fight too much. Sooner or later, he can grow up more, whether it is his realm strength or the forces under him. But what if he died? With such a big advantage, he can be described as blessed. Once he dies, he will have nothing. For the first time, Li Fan's belief that he had maintained a tough and courageous attitude was shaken. But if you give up this method in front of you, then Qian Yuanzong will definitely be wiped out by the monster before I go back. On the one hand, his own life may be torn and annihilated and turned into ashes when traveling through space, or lost in an unknown place forever. On the one hand, he has worked so hard to develop and build Sect, as well as his disciples who have been following in his footsteps. He fell into a deep entanglement, and this entanglement even affected his Dao Ji and Dao heart, which had always been rock solid. The door in Li Fan's body that seemed like a natural, flawlessly shining, trembling involuntarily. Uncertain, suddenly extinguished. Li Fan's mood was completely caught in a kind of selfless entanglement, completely unable to feel any changes in the outside world and his own body. Finally, the aura of Li Fan's physical body began to be disordered, unable to hide his huge blood qi and spirit power fluctuations. This wave of fluctuations appeared in this wasteland outside, just as conspicuous as an 800-watt light bulb emitting bright lights appeared in the dark night when you could not see your fingers. The demonic beasts and the weirdness with chaotic and terrifying aura that caused all the minds within 100 miles of Li Fan to be invaded by the fog noticed, and then rushed towards where Li Fan was. If you stay in the Green Hills, you are not afraid of not having firewood. If you keep a useful body, you can survive, and you can build another or even thousands of Qianyuan sects in the future. Even if Qian Yuanzong is destroyed, you can wait to avenge those disciples who die. Even if you decide to pin your hopes on this large array with unknown effects and uncertain dangers, and start the large array to shuttle through the space, you will most likely not be able to successfully reach Qian Yuanzong. Moreover, it is very likely that as soon as the big formation was activated, the body was torn apart by the violent spatial force, and it was also possible that because of the ignorance of the spatial force, he would be lost forever in the endless turbulence of the space, until death. Li Fan's mind kept coming out of voices preventing him from going to send to death. Facing the horror between life and death, he was wavering. Everyone says that they are not afraid of death because they have not really lived, have not experienced the beauty of life, and have no goals that they want to achieve and work hard for. But Li Fan, who has struggled from an ordinary bottom of society on Blue Star, came to this bizarre world and saw a broader sky. He wants to live here and live more wonderfully, fulfilling the wish he had always wanted to accomplish before, and paying the price for all those who caused his parents to die in injustice and shame. He still has a lot to do. He doesn't want to die, at least not before finishing these things. But, can I live for nothing? Can I do it? Li Fan kept asking himself. I will save the lives of those same age disciplines who recognize him and hope that he will lead them to live. Ignore it. No, I can't do it. I can't let go of this responsibility. A weak but tenacious voice in Li Fan's heart told him that he couldn't ignore the lives and disregard of his disciples, couldn't be so indifferent, couldn't wipe his own humanity. The sky is high and the earth is wide, and there are flowing water and clouds. Refresh the root cause and seek one's own life. The highest nature is perfect. The voice of Mingming sounded from the bottom of Li Fan's heart, and a cool spirit power flowed, stabilizing the disordered spirit power in his body and the constantly restless door. At the same time, it gave Li Fan a refreshing coolness, so that his mind slowly calmed down and his mind slowly became clear. In a daze, Li Fan flashed a picture before his eyes. That was when he stepped into the space door in the white jade platform, and was about to leave. In the turbid and unclear sky, a sapphire light fell from the sky and landed on him. It is the clear heart formula before the 100-fold increase in the system. And this inscription voice is just a passage in the augmented 7 heart calming Qi Ju that Li Fan has only watched once. Unconsciously, Li Fan retreated from the starry sky palace and returned to his body. In his godless and confused eyes, he slowly recovered and became more determined than before. A violent wave of spirit power gathered from all directions, wrapping Li Fan tightly. At the same time, in Li Fan's backpack, the millions of spirit stones accumulated during the last exploration of the secret realm near the Jinlingzong and the extermination of the Sun Pursuit also appeared in front of Li Fan. Massive spirit stones were paved into a deep ancient tan, while Li Fan sank at the bottom of the deep tan, without sorrow or joy. Unconsciously, I went through a dangerous state of asking the mind. Li Fan muttered to himself. As the name suggests, the realm of asking the mind is a realm where the cultivator asks the mind. According to Li Fan's newly obtained Celestial Soul Arctic Fairy record, the cultivator has suffered many difficulties in practice. It is not only the land of foreign objects, the resource cultivation technique, but also the most important question. To be clear about one's mind and to strengthen one's own path of practice is what every cultivator must do. When every cultivator fluctuates violently and fluctuates in its mood, there is a chance that it will fall into the state of asking the mind. Whether you are the most shallow foundation building cultivator or the Dacheng cultivator that is close to the immortal realm, it is equal. By asking the state of mind, realm hinders the level from dissipating, and realm can quickly ascension, according to the Celestial Soul Arctic Fairy. There was a cultivator named Beishuan who was unable to let go of it for a long time because of an obsession in his heart. The real person Beishuan, who was originally a peerless Tianzhao, has been stuck in the realm of nascent soul for thousands of years. When he is about to sit up, he finally breaks through his obsessions, and the 1,000 years of depression in his heart has disappeared. At that time, the 4 continents' spiritual qi swept to the realm of Beishuan, which caused thousands of shocks. And the real person Beishuan who can break the obsession has led to endless worlds. Spiritual qi condenses himself from the realm of nascent soul like a broken bamboo, breaking through 5 realms in one go, and stepping into the fairyland with 1 foot. After thousands of years, the real Beishuan finally ascended to immortal ascension. This is also a legendary story. 44%. Chapter 117. The mountain-like spirit stones turned pale from the clear light blue, and then turned into powder. Spirit power that was violent like a deep-sea vortex between the heavens and the earth also gradually ceased, revealing Li Fan's fleshy body with obvious muscular contours. 5-story foundation building. Li Fan felt the strong power of the 3 powers in his body. This power was like a bar of refined steel when he was on the 1st floor of the foundation building. Although only the thickness of chopsticks, it was extremely tough. Now the spirit power of the thickness of the chopsticks has become the size of a baby's fist, 5 times the original size. This time, he successfully passed through the state of asking the mind, saving Li Fan more than 10 years of hard work. According to the Celestial Soul Arctic Fairy Code, when the cultivator breaks through the foundation building, the spirit power in the body is transformed and new power is formed. This transformed spirit power should be called Junyuan. Li Fan felt his body keep running, exuding a mystical aura with a lot of true essence thickened, and he felt a little more sure of passing through the universe teleportation array in his heart. Now it is necessary to quickly accumulate enough of the 500,000 merit points. Just now, I killed all the weird things that wanted to attack me in this neighborhood, plus the remaining in my hand. Now there are only 50,000 merits, which is far worse. But fortunately, Li Fan turned his head and looked at the weirdness that was attracted by the blood qi that he unconsciously emitted when he was in the state of asking the mind just now. Li Fan's frown eased. There are enough weirdness here. It's a pity that they are all miscellaneous fish that don't enter the realm of Taoism. Li Fan whispered to himself. Before taking it out of the system backpack, he refined it, but he never had the opportunity to use the monster core. Thousands of Tai Yin monster cores were swiped by Li Fan's sleeves and turned into powder over the mountains and plains. Suddenly, the misty mountains and plains, which had been filled with a large number of weird gatherings, surging like boiling water for a while. One by one, weirdness was awakened and appeared by the smell of the monster core of the moon gathering. Looking around, thousands of weird animals gushing out in a radius of 50 li, rushing towards Li Fan. This time, earth fire was hooked like a thunder. The sky was full of cyan, earth, and fire-red thunder, and the whole mountain was covered by Li Fan's figure like a ghost, and every time it flickered, a large area of weird fell down like a straw. In the dense mountain forest, a team of 10 people quickly shuttled through the rugged forest path. A closer look reveals that it is Qian Yuanzong Renguan and others. In the team, there was silence and silence, only when everyone was speeding, their toes squeaked on the dead branches and leaves. 50 miles behind everyone, a horrible and twisted aura kept approaching, and the powerful pressure made Renguan and the others pale again. Finally, less than a quarter of an hour later, that terrifying aura was less than 10 miles away from Renguan and the others at this time. The distance between them and the monster is rapidly being drawn closer, and this has already reached the limit speed at which Renguan and others are desperately exploding spirit power in their bodies, and their overdraft potential has exploded. Hellmaster Ren, a young disciple in the team, who was not too old, about 19, opened his mouth to break the depressing atmosphere of solemnity. The galloping Renguan didn't stop, and continued to swoop away, but he glanced at the young disciple from the corner of his eye. Hall Master Ren, I am afraid that the monster will catch up with us in a few moments if this continues. And my spirit power has exploded. I can't maintain this speed. Hall Master, let me get out of the team. As soon as the young disciple's voice fell, before Renguan responded, the whole person had left the team and galloped toward the left side of the team, and at the same time, the spirit power burst out with brilliance. Like gorgeous fireworks, it illuminates a gloomy mountain forest. Renguan looked at the young disciple who had flown out before he had time to stop him, with a silent expression in his eyes. He knew what that disciple's choice meant. He wanted to stop it, but he didn't stop it. In the end, there was only a deep sigh and sadness in my heart. Hall Master, Wang Ling's choice is correct. An older middle-aged person in the team said. Yeah, Renguan replied faintly, and the whole team accelerated a little more. Cecil's lower limbs, not far from Renguan's group, wiggled slightly, and the pitch-black feet, which were slender as bamboo poles, each stepped forward a distance of 1 mile. Another clever little bug. Nothing else, no one can escape it anyway. Cecilton chased in the direction that exploded conspicuously. After 10 breaths, Cecil, a huge figure, stood in front of a young man, who was just Wang Ling, a disciple of Qian Yuanzong who knew that his spirit power was insufficient and took the initiative to leave the team and delay the monster's footsteps. Cecil didn't pause at all. A black light sprayed out of the cracked teeth full of jagged torso, straight to Wang Ling's head, who was pale but clenched his teeth and made no sound. But he chased the rest of the people without even looking behind him. Boom. It was like a watermelon that was blasted by a giant hammer, exploding to the ground. I want to kill my disciple, have you asked me? A young man with a long robe shattered and a bloodless face smashed the black light in front of him that seemed to be able to swallow everything. Cecil turned around in surprise when he heard the voice behind him. Wang Ling, who had already closed his eyes and waited to die, also opened his eyes suddenly. Sect leader. Standing in front of Wang Ling, Li Fan waved his hand to interrupt what Wang Ling hadn't said yet. With a wave of his big sleeve, he threw 2 lavender pills behind him. Heal your wounds with peace of mind, and leave the rest to me. Wang Ling looked at Li Fan in front of him. Although his clothes were torn and his face was pale, but still looked light and breezy like an abyss, his uneasy heart fell suddenly at this moment. I was worried when I heard the news that Qian Yuanzong might be destroyed in the clan. Knowing that he is bound to die, he still stood up with the panic and sorrow when Renguan came together as the bait. He took the initiative to leave the team and held it for Renguan and the others to delay for a while, and when Cecil was overtaken, he was about to die in fear at this time. Such complex and heavy emotions, at this moment, with the Dao Ming, a slightly thin, but very stalwart figure, they are all released at once. As a result, after Wang Ling just ended up with the 2 lavender pills that Li Fan threw to him, he fainted before he could adjust his breath to recover the extremely overdrawn spirit power. Li Fan looked back at the disciple who fell to the ground and fainted with a bang. Anger was gushing out of his heart, and his heart sighed softly, I'm sorry, I have worked hard. Then a finger lightly tapped, and a soft light enveloped the fainted Wang Ling to prevent him from being accidentally injured by the aftermath of a while. Cecil looked at the embarrassed youth in his heart. Where did this person come from? I didn't feel his breath at all, and this person has already come behind me. The breath on this person is the breath left by Gardener Keith who killed our clan. It's right, but I can't see through this person's realm strength. Cecil's expression condensed, knowing that he had swept and wiped out dozens of sects, tens of thousands of people looking for the person who undermined their plan was in front of him. It's you. Undermining the plan that my race has arranged in the Kinglan region. Cecil was a little solemn, wanting to probe the bottom of the young man before him first. With a cry, the Fei Xing Lei Guang knife came out of its sheath, and the blade covered with Li Fan's majestic true essence slammed into the center of Cecil's torso. Li Fan snorted coldly, his body trembling like a river. What's the matter? Come up and die. 45%. Chapter 118 The Death of Cecil. Hearing Li Fan's arrogant words, Cecil was anxious, but before it could react, the sword energy surging from the Flying Star Thunder knife had already slashed on the pitch-black bone armor on its body. Shit. The sword energy covered with the true essence cultivated through the Celestial Soul Arctic Immortal Code slashed at Cecil's body, making a sound of corrosion and melting. Although Cecil was shocked by the long knife that had fallen on it because it was too late to resist. But for the defense of its own body, it is very confident. Its body is already invulnerable after long-term tempering, even if it is the so-called divine armament weapon forged by these cultivators. What second-rank, first-rank magical item don't want to leave a little scar on it? Moreover, its body surface is also covered with a layer of solid and heavy body protection air, which has a strong restraint effect on the cultivator of this world. It has an extraordinary corrosive effect on the spirit power and magic power in the body condensed by these cultivator cultivation. If the cultivator in the first three realms of the Tao realm invokes the magic power in its body to attack it, the magic power that falls on it will first be corroded by the body protection gas on its body and weakened by 60% to 70%. So don't look at its strength at most corresponding to the cultivator's second realm Kaiyuan realm, but even if it is a realm beyond its realm, the third realm of the spiritual light realm cultivator fights with it. Cecil looked at the sharp long knife that fell on his body unmoved, but opened a bloody mouth full of his body and rushed towards Li Fan, trying to tear Li Fan's whole body into pieces. It seems that Li Fan, who was stupefied, remained in the posture after cutting a knife. Cecil was disdainful. How did you kill Gardener Keith? Because after being seriously injured, my strength has regressed too much. Cecil's crack-toothed mouth is getting closer and closer to Li Fan. 10 inches. 5 inches. 3 inches. With a clang, Cecil's body stopped at the last inch of Li Fan's distance, and his body broke into two segments and fell to the ground. What's going on? Cecil's brain went down for a short time, and he looked back suspiciously and saw Li Fan's lower body that was 3 meters away, full of doubts in his heart. The goat-like monster Cecil had a 2-meter-high upper body and fell heavily in front of Li Fan, splashing a layer of fine dust. That's it. Li Fan frowned, looking at the monster he had cut into 2 pieces with a single stab. He couldn't figure it out. This monster is so weak, how can it destroy so many sect forces? Can't stop him. It forced people to come out and make bait to attract it away from Qianyuanzong Mountain Gate. Li Fan felt a little weird. Cecil, whose entire body fell in front of Li Fan, did not die because of this, but frantically agitated his own strength. The body that was divided into 2 turned into a gray mist and dispersed, and it condensed at a distance of 50 meters away from Li Fan. Stand up. =I_. The condensed body Cecil had lingering fears, and looked at the face of Li Fan in horror. It was completely the same as what happened just now. Obviously it had heard the corrosive sound caused by its own body protection gas against Li Fan's long knife that fell on it. But why didn't the long knife cut off the powerful body that it had always been proud of without receiving half a stop, and severely injured it? And even if the severed body is reunited now, it can still feel a nasty force remaining in its body, which is constantly consuming and destroying its newly repaired body. Continue to aggravate its injuries. Cecil, who couldn't figure out what Li Fan was capable of, turned around and ran without saying a word. Staying with the Green Hills, I am not afraid that there will be no firewood, so I ran away quickly. Now it does not have the courage to face Li Fan again. It was severely injured by just one blow, and the force remaining in it was so difficult that it could not be resisted at all by the force in its body, and it was impossible to even expel the breath of Li Fan left in its body. What's more to say? Why don't you run quickly, stay and wait for death? Cecil exuded a thick gray mist covering his huge figure. His feet swayed wildly, and in a blink of an eye he galloped for hundreds of miles and disappeared in front of Li Fan's eyes. Li Fan looked at Cecil, who was silent and hurriedly fleeing, with a strong killing intent in his eyes. His negative emotions have accumulated too much on the white jade platform of the ruins, and later learned that the Jinlingzong was destroyed and Qian Yuanzong was in danger. Even though he had killed thousands of weirdness in the mountains where the ruins had transported him over, the anger in his heart was still surging crazily. Li Fan's figure became misty, and his supernatural power Qianyuan shrunk out. His figure turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared. Cecil, who completely concealed himself in the mist, ran away frantically. Damn ants, I didn't expect him to be so strong. No, when I escape, I have to tell the other 3 members of my clan in this area. At that time, we will come together again. No, even if we are together, we may not be the opponent of that cultivator. I'm going to die. I want to report this matter and ask my Kanara Venerable to kill this repair in one fell swoop. Half a quarter of an hour later, Cecil, who had run tens of thousands of miles, let out a sigh of relief. I didn't feel the breath of that cultivator just now, and it seems that I didn't chase him. Cecil, with a sense of horror, didn't dare to stop here, and continued to rush towards the distance. It's too unsafe outside, I still have to go back to my race. Hush, a white light gleamed on Cecil's swiftly twisting body, making it stop. Looking at the figure blocking it in front of him, Cecil couldn't help but let out a roar. You. What responded to it was a long knife wrapped in a deep blue thunder light. Cecil didn't have time to think about it, and suffocated the unspoken roar again. Seeing the horrified light in front of him, Cecil didn't dare to insist on it. Instead, he spouted more than 10 pitch-black light beams and blasted towards Li Fan. And it took the opportunity to flee in the other direction. Ha! Li Fan snorted coldly. How could he let this monster run away on his eyelid disciple when he was chasing here? It was true that his supernatural powers of the hidden deep ground were nothing like his true essence. Li Fan's fist face was covered with strong true power, and he blasted out with a punch. Shattered more than 10 beams of light with the power of destruction in front of him. Then he moved in front of Cecil, and facing thunder knife slashed towards the monster in front of him with an irresistible aura. Flop. It was the same result again, simply and neatly. Cecil's huge, hard body was like tofu in front of Li Fan's long knife, and it was vulnerable. Li Fan, who slashed the monster in front of him into 2 pieces with a single knife, didn't stop. A strong flame and thunder rose from Cecil's 2 remnants ascending. Mastering the fire and thunder of the 5 thunders continuously scorched Cecil, making it completely impossible to perform the same tricks again, turning into a mist and getting out of it. Cecil, who knew he couldn't escape, let out a stern roar. This voice made Li Fan unable to understand. Finally, under the scorching fire and thunder, Cecil's huge remnant body turned into flying ash little by little and dissipated continuously. The other beings of our clan will patronize your Qian Yuanzong. My clan will not let you go. Your little cultivator can't stop my clan's plan. Waiting for our race to come in pain and suffering, our race will destroy all your stubborn cultivators. Cecil's low and hoarse voice gradually disappeared, and its body was completely reduced to ashes. Seeing the monster turning into flying ashes in front of him, Li Fan flashed a cold light in his eyes, and said in a low voice, "What do you mean, there are accomplices?" Just 45%. Chapter 119. Red Pine Chi Searching Technique. It just so happens that I haven't had much fun yet, and I will send you all on the road today. Li Fan said coldly. Let's talk about hand seals casting a spell. A filamentous cyclone surrounds the tip of the left finger. Go. The filamentous cyclone circled around Cecil's death and returned to Li Fan's fingertips. This small cyclone, which seemed a little agile, was exactly a technique that Li Fan had newly practiced and mastered before returning to Qian Yuanzong, called the Chisong Shishun technique. This small technique was exchanged with merit by Li Fan before he was able to mediate the transfer formation between the universe and the universe. At that time, it was because he was worried that after returning to Qian Yuanzong, he could not find Ren Guan and others who used his body as a bait to attract the monster just now, so he chose it deliberately. This is also the reason why he was able to rush back quickly just now when he was about to die, and save the disciple who was about to die. As for now, Li Fan used this magic technique with only one goal, and that is to eliminate the danger near Qian Yuanzong. According to the monster just now, would someone come to him Qian Yuanzong to avenge him? It happened that he solved these crises first, and this kind of thing that caught him off guard would happen again in the future. Of course, Li Fan was also planning to do what he could this time. He collected the aura of the monsters he had just killed, and was going to find these guys near Qian Yuanzong to explore the bottom. If things can't be done, he will certainly not be sent to death, but if the strength of those things is about the same as the pile of ashes under his feet, then... Thinking of this, Li Fan pulled a smile at the corner of his mouth. It seems that there are so many ghosts in the Kinglan region. Li Fan looked at a place beside him, with a ray of killing intent in his eyes, and then the whole person disappeared in this mountain like an arrow from the string. In the forest, Li Fan first returned to the vicinity of Qian Yuanzong, found his disciple Wang Ling and Ren Guan who was still running around in the mountains and the others, and notified them that he had killed the monster. Then let Ren Guan and others return to the sect first, take a good rest, and soothe the emotions of everyone in sect. Then, alone, he swept towards the traced aura that was closest to Qian Yuanzong. In the Kanglan domain, in a hidden cave, a figure exuding a distorted breath made an incredibly shocked voice, Cecile died. How could it be possible? At the same time, in the southern Moon Valley bordering the Kanglan region, two extremely terrifying and ugly figures made the same sound of suspicion. Cecile's connection with us is broken, it's dead. Who killed it? Who can kill it in a small place like Kanglan region? Could it be that you hit a passing realm cultivator? The three weird figures showed some confusion and shock one after another, and their hearts were also shrouded in a dark cloud, and they were more worried. In Qianyuanzong, the people who stayed behind at Sect saw Ren Guan and his party returning from the mountain gate, and they were shocked in their hearts. There was a lot of discussion. Look, Hall Master Ren and they are back. Yes, 1, 3, 6, 10 people a lot, all came back safely. Since they have come back with that terrible monster, will that monster be Sect soon? Have you noticed that Hall Master Ren and the others have no breath of any injuries, spirit power is full of perfection. The face is not red or panting, and the complexion looks better than before going out, this is abnormal. If they encounter that monster, how can they not even lose any spirit power? It will take some effort to escape. Quote. The words of one of them caught everyone's attention. Yes, they looked at Ren Guan and the others who came by from a distance, and when they thought about it, they were puzzled. The strength of the monsters that killed more than 20 of them in the same family, people like them have already had a clear understanding. That is because their strength is simply unable to resist, although everyone knows that Ren Guan's strength is the most outstanding among these disciples. But it did not exceed them too much. If you go to entice that terrible monster, how can there be nothing at all? Is it possible? They didn't try to lead away the monsters, but went outside and secretly found a place to hide. A female disciple of the Hanshui sect in Qian Yuanzong whispered. As soon as he said this, it happened to say that he was hiding in the hearts of most of the disciples in sect, and the voices of suspicion, questioning Ren Guan and others gradually sounded. It seems, it's not impossible. Ren Guan, they won't really be hiding in secret. I think it's like that, or they have nothing to do with it. But where did the monster go? Just now, it was obviously about to reach the gate of our Qianyuanzong. It wasn't Hall Master Ren who led it away. Could it be possible that it disappeared by itself? How do you explain this? Listening to these doubts, Ren Guan and others didn't try to lure away the monsters at all, but the remarks they secretly hid. Some people also raised questions. Don't worry about Ren Guan and their situation, but the monster did leave the vicinity of Qian Yuanzong, this is an indisputable fact. What's hard to explain? After Ren Guan and others quietly left Qian Yuanzong, they must have found a place to hide first, and then it happened that the original target of the monster was not Qian Yuanzong. Maybe the monster was just wandering unconsciously, wouldn't it be normal for him to change direction and leave here? Quote. HMPH, I think if it wasn't for that Ren Guan had to send someone to intercept and kill at the beginning, and provoke the monster would have already left. We won't be so frightened, and lost the lives of more than 20 fellows in vain. This matter needs to be explained to us. He must be responsible for his own behavior. That's right. Many people hear this, and it sounds like a bit of truth for a while. That said, the Ren Guan and others never fought with the monster from beginning to end, and the monster didn't even care about them Qian Yuanzong at all. And if it hadn't been for Ren Guan to send someone to provoke the monster at first, then the monster might not have come so close to Qian Yuanzong at all. And the 20 people don't need to die anymore, it is said that Ren Guan killed them. Suddenly, many people in Qian Yuanzong had a suddenly realized expression. Among them, one of Wu Yongzong's cheekbones bulged, and the somewhat mean disciple said sarcastically, Tisk tisk tisk, you deserve to be Hall Master Ren, his mind is really meticulous, and it seems that it is for Sect to stand up for us. In fact, it did sneak out and hid. If the monster did not change its direction and went straight to Qian Yuanzong, then we people would become sacrifices, and they could escape by hiding outside. Now that the monster has changed its direction, they can take credit for it, and they can get a lot of rewards when Sect leader returns. It's really a good calculation. It's a pity that the monster didn't find them. The man shook his head after speaking. FK, how do you talk? You are still looking forward to the failure of Hall Master Ren. Anyway, Hall Master Ren and them stand up at the most dangerous critical moment of Sect. And stood in the forefront to carry the danger down for everyone. As for you, you will only hide in Sect and say these cool words. Are you worthy of Hall Master Ren and them? Quote. 46%. Chapter 120. Yes, you guys are really white-eyed wolves. At the beginning, you guys were bragging to give up Qian Yuanzong and flee for their lives. Now that the Sect crisis has just come into contact, you have begun to question and slander Ren Tang, who came forward at a critical moment. Lord them. You are too much. Quote. All of a sudden, the two disciples who had different opinions began to quarrel with each other's voices getting louder and louder. It is a pity that the disciples standing in the camp of Renguan and others are in the minority after all. Basically, they are the more than 100 people from the beginning of Qian Yuanzong, and there are more than 200 remaining disciples who are new to Qian Yuanzong. But the disciples who opposed and questioned Renguan and others accounted for 90%. The voices of these people completely covered the voices of those who spoke for Renguan, and the entire Great Hall of the Sect was all attacks on Renguan and others for a while. Fu Bingying and Heng Qing both looked unhappy, and they wanted to stop their mischievous behavior. As a result, the disciples, who were getting more and more above, ignored them, and the situation became more tense for a while. Heng Qing's complexion was gloomy, and the thick spirit power on his body spewed out. It seems that this kid Renguan kept me behind. Sect really has the foresight. There are too many people who have renounced Qian Yuanzong. Sect leader has only been away for a few days, and such a situation occurred. If a similar crisis occurs in Qian Yuanzong in the future, can this group of people really be expected to stand up for Qian Yuanzong? Quote. Heng Qing's heart was full of disappointment. Hearing these ungrateful people slandering his friends, his anger rose, and his body was already showing the slightest killing intent. Shut up. Heng Qing's face was gloomy and his eyebrows were raised upside down, and Zhen Yuan shouted loudly, Renguan is the Hallmaster of Qian Yuanzong appointed by Sect leader, Sect elder, how can you group of outer Sect disciples talk and slander? I can't tell the difference between the old and the inferior. If you want to die, I can fulfill you. Quote. After speaking, he flew out, took out the most popular people from the crowd, and blocked the spirit power of these people. Facing Heng Qing who was much stronger than them, these people couldn't resist at all. Among them was the female disciple of the Hanshui sect who first questioned Renguan and others when they came out of the sect and went into hiding. There were also those who confessed that Renguan was greedy for power, provoked the monster that was not directed at Qian Yuanzong, and killed several disciples of the Sun Pursuing Palace who were more than 20 of the same sect. There is also the protruding cheekbones of the sharp-mouthed monkey, slandering Renguan, who is good at calculating, and is afraid that the monster will abandon sect and escape, and then see the Wuyongzong disciple who changes direction and leaves in the middle of the monster and returns to receive the credit. The 5 people caught by Heng Qing in front of him can be said to represent most of the voices of the outer disciples who joined Qian Yuanzong later. These people's recognition of Qian Yuanzong was not high, especially Wuyongzong and the people who chased the Sun Palace. It can be said that both of them were destroyed because of Li Fan. Although he joined Qian Yuanzong now, he was in a state of no effort at all. And as soon as something happens, he intends to defect and escape. It's not like the first 10 people of Qian Yuanzong who followed Li Fan from the beginning, and Ling Yunzong who was rescued by Li Fan from the strange hand of Banyan Tree and others. These more than 100 talents are Li Fan's true and most loyal team. Heng Qing looked at the 5 people he had sealed the cultivation base, and said coldly, you guys slander and slander sect elder. According to the rules, cultivation base should be abolished and expelled from sect. You may have opinions. After saying this, Heng Qing didn't care about the frightened look of the few people and the words that he wanted to refute the pleading. He just went through the process when he asked the few people if they had any opinions, and there was no meaning for them to refute. Heng Qing turned into 5 purple spirit needles to stab several people Dantian, wanting to destroy their cultivation base directly. And just when the purple needle was about to pierce Dantian, a light blue longsword swept away all the 5 needles. Hengqing glared at Fu Bingying beside him. Fu sect leader. What do you mean? His tone increased, and he paused for a moment on the word sect leader. Fu Bingying's face was a little blushing, her lips were tight, she couldn't hear Hengqing's meaning. This is a great dissatisfaction with her. She knew from the beginning that the monster was approaching the Qianyuanzong mountain gate, and when many disciples inside the gate wanted to give up holding Qianyuanzong and want to escape, the carelessness on her face, the hesitation revealed by Renguan, Hengqing, and 2 people saw it. At that time, I guess these 2 people were a little dissatisfied with me, so Renguan deliberately let Hengqing stay in the sect. In name, he was in Qianyuanzong, but in fact it was to monitor me. Fu Bingying felt a little disappointed, and she admitted that she really wanted to retreat with the disciples of the Cold Water sect at that time. But there is no other way. Qian Yuanzong's sect leader Li Fan has never heard of it. It may be that something has happened and he can't get out of it, or he may have been outside. NS. But at that time Qian Yuanzong was about to usher in the disaster of extinction. Is there anyone in the clan who is strong enough to solve the crisis and suppress everything? If Qian Yuanzong is still guarding at this time, then what awaits them is the end of annihilation of the entire army. As the sect leader of the Cold Water sect, although she has become an affiliated sect of Qian Yuanzong, she has to consider the lives of hundreds of disciples of own Cold Water sect. According to the situation at the time, even if she left with the disciples of the Cold Water sect, it was natural. Even if Li Fan dared to say it in person, she had a clear conscience. Fu Bingying, who had figured it out, had nothing to hesitate. She couldn't have watched her disciple in sect just be abolished, and the female disciple arrested by Hengqing was still one of the closest people in the Hanshui sect. It was Yonglinger who she sent out to ask Wu Yongzong for help when her Hanshui sect was under siege. But since she was going to make a move, she was not good enough to protect Yonglinger alone, which would offend the other newly joined disciples such as Wu Yong sect and Cherry Palace. It was simply saved, so that it could also occupy the righteousness, and use the public opinion of the rest of Qian Yuanzong to resolve the matter. She frowned slightly and looked at Hengqing and said, Hengqing Hallmaster, a few of them are also unintentional words when they are emotionally excited, so don't worry about it. Besides, of the 2,000 disciples in the gate just now, 90% of them had negligent remarks. Is it possible that Hallmaster Heng intends to abolish all of them from cultivation base and expel sect, and Qian Yuanzong will also be dispersed? We must know that such a big Qian Yuanzong requires everyone to work hard to build it. Without so many disciples, Qian Yuanzong can't be built, let alone the current achievements. Now that the crisis has been resolved, the most important thing is to first turn into contradictions within the clan, rather than intensify contradictions. Quote. After speaking these words, Fu Bingying looked at Hengqing, whose anger had disappeared a little, and said softly, Heng Master, I think this is a matter of course, let's not make waves again. Hengqing's complexion was pale, but he also knew that if he insisted on making a shot now, when sect leader Li Fan was not in the clan without a group of dragons and no leader, it would really arouse group anger. In that way, Qian Yuanzong was in a mess, and this kind of thing was not what he wanted to see. Compared to waiting for sect leader Li Fan to come back, he would be disappointed and reprimand him when he saw him handle sect like this. Hengqing thought of this, and the agitated spirit power in his hand slowly dissipated. At this moment, a vigorous fist wind came along with a loud voice. The fist marks strongly attached to the majestic spirit power blasted on the 5 people in front of Hengqing, and they slammed their bodies out. Several people coughed up blood. Cultivation base has been abandoned. Breach the door rules, deserve a penalty. Breach the door rules, deserve a penalty. Breach the door